dan selamat datang ke webinar siri pertama mengenai 5 clusters of learning outcome Mqf 2.0. Dan saya mengambil kesempatan ini, kalau kita lihat partisipan untuk hari ini lebih melebihi 1,000 partisipan di webex dan juga daripada itu tidak termasuk daripada Facebook Live. Seperti yang disebutkan oleh Cik Wan Zai tadi, Jabatan Pendidikan Tinggi, Kementerian Pengajian Tinggi sebenarnya menyokong amanat YB Menteri Pengajian Tinggi di mana ia melibatkan value driven education dan juga bagaimana kita sama-sama dapat memberi sumbangan untuk melahirkan pelajar yang holistik dan seimbang. Dan apabila kita melibatkan ataupun membincangkan mengenai melahirkan pelajar holistik yang seimbang dan berciri keusahawanan yang merupakan salah satu lonjakan kepada pelan pembangunan pendidikan tinggi, ia juga akan melibatkan kepada kurikulum, pedagogi dan juga penilaian pendidikan kemanusiaan, sifat hormat dan nilai-nilai kebangsaan, kepimpinan, kebertanggungjawaban. Dan kesemua ini adalah yang dilakukan bagi mendekani kemajuan di era pendidikan revolusi industri 4.0 dan kita kata memanusiakan humanizing teknologi dan memasyarakatkan universiti. Jadi global ini merupakan salah satu usaha National Outcome Based Learning ini merupakan satu usaha memperkukuhkan pelaksanaan Outcome Based Education atau OBE dengan memperkasakan pengetahuan pensyarah dalam pelaksanaan OBE berdasarkan atribut pelajar katalis masa hadapan. Jadi inisiatif National Outcome Based Learning ini adalah untuk memantapkan pemahaman OBE dan kepada pensyarah dan juga menyokong kepada ciri-ciri yang terkandung dalam kesemua learning outcome clusters LOC yang berdasarkan Malaysian Qualification Framework 2.0 ataupun MQF 2.0. Dan ianya adalah selaras sebagai satu mekanisme pemantauan dan juga semakan program di mana segala aspek kemajuan dan prestasi pelajar dianalisis dalam hubungannya dengan matlamat ataupun PEO program, kurikulum dan hasil program. Jadi universiti masing-masing, especially UA telah bangunkan sebenarnya mekanisme sendiri untuk memastikan pelaksanaan global ini berkesan dalam kalangan pensyarah, termasuklah sistem pelaporan pencapaian hasil pembelajaran pelajar. Jadi pelaporan ini dia boleh menjadi satu medium yang sangat berkesan dalam memastikan pelaksanaan penjajaran kolektif dalam pengajaran dan pembelajaran oleh pensyarah, dan di samping menggalakkan pensyarah untuk mengintegrasikan pendekatan yang berasaskan outcome based dan juga evidence based ini. Jadi ianya bukan hanya untuk mengenal pasti kualitas sejarah, namun keberhasilan inilah yang dikatakan sokong pencapaian lonjakan 1 tadi dalam PPMP, Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Tinggi Malaysia, bagi melahirkan graduan yang holistik, seimbang dan berciri keusahawanan. Dan cabaran pendidikan inilah yang paling usaha, kerana ianya kita melihat kepada kepentingan mengikuti ataupun sejajar dengan perkembangan teknologi yang tanpa sempadan, dan justru itu elemen manusiawi melalui novel ini adalah amat bertepatan, dan saya percaya ianya mengukuhkan lagi proses pembentukan insan sejahtera seperti yang kita ingin realisasikan. Dan kita juga dapati memang kita sedia maklum bahawa pelaksanaan untuk memperkasakan UI ini telah pun berlaku melalui pelbagai platform di universiti masing-masing. Contohnya kita ada indeks hebat di USM, Holistic Entrepreneurial Balance, Articulate and Thinker. USIM kita ada model GINA, Graduan Integrasi Ilmu Nakli and Akli dan sebagainya. Jadi intervensi terhadap atribut pelajar perlu ditambah baik dari masa ke semasa, dan penekanan elemen ini kita diterapkan kepada para pelajar dengan 5 cluster learning outcome di bawah Mqf 2.0 ini bagi menyiapsiagakan pelajar kita yang ianya merupakan tanggungjawab kita sebagai pendidik dan juga di KPT. Jadi oleh yang demikian semua UA secara umum perlu menyahut dan menyokong pelaksanaan inisiatif ini di institusi masing-masing, dan saya harap ini merupakan salah satu siri webinar yang akan diikuti, disusuli dengan beberapa siri bengkel secara dalam talian yang lebih terperinci, dan saya harapkan kita dapat memanfaatkan kongsian ini bersama-sama untuk kita ke arah memberi satu impak yang besar kepada masyarakat dan negara. Sekian, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada yang berusaha Profesor Ada Dr. Wan Zuhanis saat sebentar tadi. Majlis seterusnya akan diteruskan dengan yang berusaha Encik Akhir Muslim Rakanan Kembangan Dasar Kepakaran QA untuk menyampaikan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan selamat petang. Yang berusaha Prof. Madya Dr. Wan Zuhanis, Pengarah Bahagian Kecemerlangan Akademik JPT. Begitu juga yang berusaha Prof. Madya TS Dr. Sharifah Ruzaina Syed Arif, Pengerusi Jadualkuasa Strategik Nobel yang saya rasa penting kumpulan dia, dan juga ahli-ahli kumpulan jawatankuasa di bawah pimpinan beliau yang berusaha menganjurkan program pada petang ini. Pertama-tamanya saya mengucapkan tahniahlah kepada bahagian kecemerlangan akademik JPT, begitu juga dengan jawatankuasa kini atas usaha yang diadakan, dan begitu juga saya mengalu-alukanlah juga mengucapkan terima kasih juga atas kehadiran peserta-peserta yang lain. Dan kalau pada petang ini saya memberi sedikitlah kepentingannya kenapa saya diminta untuk beri sedikit background sebab rasa Dr. Wan pun dah ceritakan apakah kepentingan yang patut kita lihat dari segi usaha yang dibuat oleh Jawatankuasa Nobel ini, tapi saya diminta memberi sedikit imbasan berkaitan kenapa Mqf 2.0. Kalau nak bagi panjang nanti Kang take time pula. So basically untuk Mqf ni kita saya rasa masing-masing sudah tahulah ia menjadi asas kepada quality assurance yang kita laksanakan. Di mana-mana negara pun nak buat semakan kualiti, nak buat verification, dia kena ada asas, dan MQF menjadi asas kepada quality assurance dan accreditation di Malaysia. Tetapi kalau kita lihat kepada MQF 2.0, kenapa dia perlu ada 2.0 dan 11 domain yang cuba diusahakan oleh kumpulan Jawatankuasa Nobel ini adalah pertamanya kita ada versi pertama 1.0 pada 2005 dan kemudian reinforce 2007. MQF 1.0 masa kita laksanakan tu adalah consider to be the second generation of NQF in the world. Kalau komputer tu kita tahulah processor second gen, third gen sampailah kepada generasi ke-10 dan sebagainya. So MQF 2.0 sebenarnya dia menggarap kepada tak silap saya pada waktu tu sama ada generasi ke-5 atau ke-6 daripada NQF yang dilaksanakan di dunia lah ya. So kita mengambil kepada perkara-perkara yang paling terkini. Pada waktu tu kita dapati banyak negara dah buat set makan semula, New Zealand, Australia dan sebagainya. So kita tidak boleh terlepas daripada aspek itu untuk memajukan diri. That mean saya juga memberi hint bahawa pada masa akan datang kita tak pasti bila, tapi it's look like bila dilihat tentang keperluan untuk menstruktur dan sebagainya dan melihat kepada mungkin perkembangan signifikan dalam dunia pendidikan, especially norma baru, ada kemungkinan akan ada perlu pada perubahan-perubahan, tapi itu kita akan lihat pada masa akan datang. Tapi kita bila bercakap pada MQF 2.0, dia telah menggarap kepada yang terkini yang dilaksanakan bukan saja di terantau ini, juga di peringkat dunia. Itu yang pertama. Yang keduanya, tapi yang lebih signifikan adalah bila dia mengambil kepada ciri-ciri terbaru dalam pendidikan, kita boleh nampak bahawa masa MQF 1.0 dia lebih kepada deskripsi akademik. Kalau kita lihat pada MQF 2.0, dia description-nya a bit neutral. That mean walaupun kita tahu MQF level 6 kebiasaannya adalah program bachelor dan dikenali sebagai bachelor, tapi bawah MQF 2.0 it also indicate that will not be necessary. It can be called SCCA, it can be CCMA, it can be, maksudnya dia ada elemen as long as sesuatu kelayakan itu boleh pada tahap yang memenuhi MQF, it can be recognized at that level lah. So itu ada perkara tu. Tetapi yang lebih penting adalah dalam bahasa-bahasa yang kita cuba bawa dalam MQF 2.0, banyaknya elemen flexible education. Ya, sebab saya rasa deskripsi yang dibawa oleh 2.0 dah mula memberi peluang kepada elemen-elemen yang kita cuba venture sekarang dari segi apel, micro credential, that mean elemen partiality in term of conferment, credentialing, begitu juga dengan elemen informal dan formal, that mean we don't look into the process but we challenge you based on what you have achieved. Itu benda-benda bahasa-bahasa tu dah mula diberikan a good standing and also sebenarnya prinsipal yang bagus untuk venture dari segi elemen flexible education. Jadi banyak yang kita laksanakan sekarang ini, yang begitu juga peringkat JPT sekarang ni tengah cuba membawa banyak inisiatif immersive learning. Yang tu saya rasa pun banyak kita boleh kata daripada MQF 2.0. Jadi sebenarnya satu lagi MQF 2.0 yang cuba kita ketengahkan adalah sebagaimana Dr. Wan Zuhani cerita adalah tentang pengukuhan aspek FPK lah, falsafah pendidikan tinggi, pendidikan negara, di mana kita melihat bahawa holistic education untuk learner ni, untuk elemen kesejahteraan tu dia cater keseluruhannya. So bagi satu-satu pendidikan di bawah MQF, at least bila dia mendapat program yang accredited, dia ada 4 peluang. 4 peluang pertama adalah pertamanya untuk dia sambung belajar. Yang kedua untuk dia bekerja. MQF, program yang accredited by MQF, there must be an occupational direction and exposure and training. Yang kedua, yang ketiganya adalah untuk pembangunan diri dia sendiri. Kalau dia tak nak belajar ke apa, dia tak nak sambung belajar, dia tak nak bekerja, at least dia belajar tersebut untuk memajukan diri tu. Maksudnya mungkin selepas pencing nak belajar apa semua untuk self satisfaction. Last but not least, under FPK there is also an element that you are a good citizen of Malaysia. So 4 perkara tersebut saya rasa dalam 11 domain tersebut very reflected, memang being addressed dalam situ secara, cuma tinggal lagi tactically how is being implemented, ditafsirkan, cascaded and also address dalam program yang dibentuk oleh setiap tenaga pengajar. Dan saya lihat itulah kepentingannya yang diusahakan oleh jawatankuasa ini, satu usaha yang murni di mana kita menyediakan satu panduan lengkap kepada tenaga pengajar dan juga pembangun kurikulum dalam mereka melaksanakan aktiviti-aktiviti akademik, dan sebagaimana yang Dr. Wan Zuhani nyatakan tadi, intervensi sistem yang dilaksanakan di peringkat institusi. So selakali lagi saya mengambil peluang ini mengucapkan tahniah kepada Jawatankuasa Nobel dan juga terima kasih dan juga kepada semua yang sudi hadir dan mendengar, dan saya doakan bahawa dengan perkongsian pada petang ini semua yang hadir mendapat manfaat bersama, dan insya-Allah bukan saja manfaat yang kita boleh terima, yang kita boleh dapat pada petang ini, tetapi kita dapat memastikan continuation dalam kita menyumbang kepada pembangunan talent untuk Malaysia. Dengan that note, wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada yang berusaha Encik Muhammad Zafir Mustafa, pengarah kanan pembangunan dasar dan kepakaran MQA sebentar tadi. Majlis seterusnya akan diteruskan dengan menjemput yang berusaha Profesor Madya Dr. Sharifah Ruzainah Syed Aris, pengurusi Jawatan Kuasa Strategik Nobel KPT, untuk menyampaikan sedikit kata aluan. Dipersilakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih Cik Wan. Boleh izinkan saya share slide? Okay, thank you. Kejap. Sekejap ya Cik Wan. Slide dia tak jumpa pula ni. Okay, dah nampak ke? Dah nampak ke? Boleh dengar?
Nampak.
Yes. Okay. Sebab bila guna webex ni, we need strong internet ya, so ada macam technical sikit kat situ. Okay, Alhamdulillah saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada semua yang dapat hadir pada hari ini bersama-sama. Alhamdulillah, insyaAllah dikatakan webex ni maksimumnya 1000 dan saya tak pasti dekat live FB berapa. Okey, terima kasih yang dihormati Profesor Madya Dr. Wan Zuhanis, yang dihormati juga Encik Zafir daripada MQA, rakan-rakan strategik Nobel, semua penulis-penulis dan semua rakan-rakan universiti awam dan universiti swasta yang turut hadir pada hari ini ya. Okey, baik, saya teruskan. Baik, Alhamdulillah ingin saya kongsikan ini adalah Jawatankuasa Strategik Nobel, yang terdiri dari pelbagai universiti, ya, saya sendiri and then timbalan pengurusi Nobel PMTS Dr. Muhammad Syabani, dan kita ada mantan pengurusi Nobel Prof. Dr. Surya, dan kita ada daripada UTM Prof. IR Dr. Hayati, kita juga ada daripada UKM ya, PM Dr. Rozia, and then PM Dr. Mariam Taib daripada UMT, and of course we have a team from MQA lead by Encik Muhammad Zafir together with Encik Zamrin and also Encik Kamarul Bakri yang lebih dikenali sebagai Encik KB, and we have PMTS Dr. Azhar from UMP, kita ada PMTS Dr. Ishak daripada UTHM, kita ada juga Dr. Anwar daripada UMK dan juga Dr. Muhammad Hafiz daripada USIM ya, USIM. Okay, so ini adalah orang kata different contributor kepada jawatan strategik Nobel ya, insyaAllah. So basically ingin saya perkenalkan tadi Dr. Wan Zuhanis dengan Cik Zafir telah pun memaklumkan the why we need to move towards this direction, kenapa daripada MQF 1 kita tukar MQF 2 dan sebagainya. I think kita dah digestkan the why aspect of the MQF 2.0 ya. Baik, ini adalah aspiration ataupun objektif ataupun vision mission of Nobel. So kita berharap dengan wujudnya jawatankuasa ini ataupun inisiatif daripada JPT ini, kita berharap ianya dapat meningkatkan tahap pemahaman ataupun amalan OBE, outcome based education di Malaysia of course, and then we insyaAllah will help berkongsi kaedah ataupun mekanisme untuk melaporkan bagaimana tahap pencapaian pelajar. So that is the part and partial of when we bila kita adopt this outcome based education and the mechanism untuk orang kata mencapai pelaporan ataupun mechanism to look at the CQI of this pencapaian pelajar adalah penting dan juga adalah penting untuk kita meneruskan ya pembudayaan dan mengukuhkan amalan OBE. Kita dah OBE ni dah since 2008 lagi ya yang telah dimulai oleh engineering ya. Baik, so ingin saya kongsikan juga sedikit basically perkongsian hari ini adalah lebih kepada bagaimana kita boleh membantu ya jawatankuasa Nobel boleh membantu dalam aspek untuk memberi pemahaman yang lebih ya kepada national education requirement ya especially untuk selari dengan MQF level 6. Kita akan fokuskan level 6 untuk taklimat pada hari ini. Dan kita akan kongsikan insya-Allah ya sebenarnya Nobel dalam proses untuk mengeluarkan buku kita ada sedikit teknikal yang menyebabkan sedikit lambat untuk kita mengeluarkan quick reference 5 clusters of learning outcome MQF 2.0. Dan kalau kita lihat di sini ini adalah authors ataupun para penyumbang atau penulis ya untuk buku ini, untuk Nobel ini, dan kita pun dalam penghasilan buku ini Nobel buku playbook ini kita telah pun menjalankan siri engagement dengan Higher Learning Institution Nobel Committee bagi setiap universiti awam dan juga I think we have engaged as well universiti-universiti swasta and also kita ada engagement TOT training of trainers dengan person in charge, person who take care of quality and also curriculum at higher learning institution basically dekat public universities ya. Okay, dan ini juga adalah contributors on top of engagement with the one that I have shared earlier. So kita juga melibatkan contributors from different university that help us in coming up with the attributes and also cost assessment plan ya. And of course, whatever kita bercakap di quick reference ini ataupun buku yang akan kita kongsikan nanti insya-Allah dalam this year juga, dan kita pasti akan align with MQF and also descriptors di dalam appendix 2 kalau tuan-tuan dan puan-puan boleh rujuk ya untuk MQF 2.0 ini insya-Allah. Okay, basically kalau dulu-dulu ya sewaktu awal kita kongsikan MQF 2.0 ni kita dah kongsikan sebenarnya mapping. This is the mapping and I hope everyone familiar with this mapping ya. Kita telah majukan mapping ini awal lagi sewaktu awal-awal kewujudan ataupun bila MQF 2.0 diterbitkan, di mana sekarang kalau boleh after this jangan dah tengok ke belakang, kita tengok pandang ke hadapan because this mapping is actually untuk menegaskan bahawa there is nothing new but there are certain learning outcome domain that being emphasized in this MQF 2.0 ya. Okey, dan mungkin ada yang tertanya-tanya along the line nanti kenapa kena ada 11 LO dan sebagainya daripada 5 kluster ini, tetapi ingin ditegaskan di sini bahawa tak kisahlah berapa PLO yang ingin diwujudkan, ya PLO statement yang ingin diwujudkan oleh mana-mana program, tetapi yang penting adalah mana-mana program itu mestilah mengukur ke 11 learning outcome domain tersebut ya. Okey, let's move on. Okay, saya sekejap saja untuk ni saja ya sebelum kita teruskan dengan kluster. Baik, ini adalah basically apa yang kita kata 5 kluster dengan 11 learning outcome domain. Okay, sebelum rakan saya sebentar lagi akan in details on all the 5 clusters. Dan kalau kita lihat ya di sebelah kanan sekali, ini adalah dominant learning domain. Okay, ini adalah yang kebiasaannya diukur on this learning domain, taxonomy domain, tetapi ada kemungkinan ya seperti yang telah disebutkan di bawah ini, dominant learning domain may be expanded to other learning domain depending on the discipline of study. Ya, ini adalah cadangan sahaja, ini adalah yang kebiasaan yang biasanya digunakan ya. Now, okay, seterusnya ini saya telah disebutkan tadi oleh Wan Zai. Now, jadi tunggulah ya, kita hari ini adalah hari kita bersama untuk introduction of to 5 clusters. Nantikan insya-Allah very soon we're going to have 3 webinar series yang kita panggil webinar ETOT. Insya-Allah our first web ETOT will be in 30 August. Ya, tolong mark your calendar and save the date. But we will be from time to time orang kata memaklumkan kepada semua universiti untuk siri-siri selanjutnya. I think that's all from me. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih ucapkan kepada Yang Bersaudara Prof. Madya Dr. Sharifah Ruzaina atas ucapan yang telah disampaikan sebentar tadi. Baiklah tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saya mendengar ada beberapa peserta yang menghadapi masalah teknikal. Mohon maaf, ada sedikit masalah teknikal yang berlaku di FB saya rasa. Boleh masuk semula FB tersebut dan cuba tengok kalau ada apa-apa masalah. Ada juga satu link YouTube yang sedang disediakan, dikongsikan yang juga boleh digunakan. Baik, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, saya rasa kita sudah selesai untuk sedikit majlis pembukaan. Sebelum kita pergi ke sesi yang seterusnya, iaitu sesi pembentangan, saya mohon untuk ingatkan bahawa setiap pembentangan akan berlangsung selama 20 minit sahaja dan untuk sesi Q&A hanya dibenarkan selepas satu-satu pembentangan selesai. Cuma Q&A itu hanya tertakluk kepada satu soalan sahaja untuk satu pembentangan. Untuk soalan-soalan yang lain boleh dibawa ke akhir selepas semua pembentangan telah dibentangkan oleh para pembentang. Sekali lagi saya nyatakan, setiap pembentangan akan berlaku selama 20 minit dan hanya satu soalan Q&A untuk satu pembentangan dan soalan-soalan yang lain boleh dibawa di hujung daripada pembentangan yang akan berakhir, ke semua pembentangan yang berakhir. Baik, kalau ada apa-apa soalan bagi yang ada di webex, boleh tinggalkan di chat webex, dan bagi berada di Facebook ataupun YouTube boleh tinggalkan di ruangan komen. Baik tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, tanpa membuang masa, saya dengan segala sukacita menjemput pembentang yang pertama, iaitu Prof. Dr. Irfan daripada USM untuk membentangkan kluster yang pertama. Dengan segala hormatnya, saya mempersilakan.
Terima kasih pengurusi majlis, saudara pengurusi majlis, Encik Wan Zainuddin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Boleh dengar suara saya?
Boleh, Prof.
Yes,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Prof.
Right. Dr. Shah, saya masih tak boleh share. Okay, alright. Thank you. Sekejap ya. Okay, boleh nampak slide ya? Okay. Okay. Alright. Pertamanya saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Prof. Dr. Wan Zuhainis Saad selaku pengarah bahagian kecemerlangan akademik JPT, saudara Encik Muhammad Zafir Mustafa selaku pengarah kanan pembangunan dasar dan kepakaran MQA, yang saya hormati juga Prof. Dr. Sharifah Ruzainah Syed-Aris selaku pengurusi jawatankuasa strategik Nobel KPT, rakan-rakan pasukan Nobel, juga sekretariat, datuk-datuk, profesor-profesor, ahli-ahli akademik, serta tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. So for the first one, I'm going to present about cluster 1, which is the first cluster in that 5 clusters that we have in MQF 2.0. So cluster ini berkenaan dengan knowledge and understanding ataupun pengetahuan dan pemahaman ya. So saya akan mulakan perbincangan ini dengan melihat pertamanya kepada description cluster inilah, kemudiannya kepada descriptor, kemudiannya taksonomi yang berkaitan serta contoh-contoh yang mungkin kita boleh guna pakai. Pertamanya untuk cluster ini, memang kalau kita lihat cluster yang paling mudah lah ya. So tapi ada beberapa perkara yang mungkin perlu kita tengok juga dalam kita menghasilkan atau menulis PLO bagi cluster ini. So when we look at the description of this particular cluster referring to MQF 2.0 2017 ya. So their knowledge understanding refers to a systematic comprehension of theories, concepts, principles, facts, ideas, information, technical knowledge, regulations, numeracy, practical skills, usage of tools, processes and systems. So the keyword here is the systematic comprehension. Whatever theories, whatever concepts, principles in that particular subject matter or in that particular field, we can have that, we can use that in this cluster number 1. And then this cluster enables the learners to relate their prior knowledge during their learning process, as well as to expand to related fields. It provides the basis for applications of all other learning outcomes. So basically memang kalau daripada pemahaman kita terhadap knowledge understanding, dia merupakan asas kepada domain ataupun taksonomi dalam taksonomi Bloom. But one thing that we noticed when we had a town hall with public universities, so walaupun secara umumnya cluster knowledge understanding ini biasanya merujuk kepada aras C1 dan aras C2 dalam taksonomi Bloom, tetapi program owner juga diberi pilihan untuk menggunakan cognitive level yang lebih tinggi. Generally, when we talk about knowledge understanding, we talk about C1 and C2. But you as program owners, you're allowed to declare or go beyond C1 and C2 for cluster 1, for knowledge understanding. So that's the agreement, the consensus that we have decided earlier. Right? Because sometimes some programs, they say their first PLO, they do not want to stop at understanding. So they want to go to C3, which is application, for instance. Yes, we allow that. Okay, and then when we look at MQF 2.0, definitely we can find this appendix that shows the level descriptors. So in this particular slide, we can see the descriptor for each cluster, level 6. Again, for this particular session today, we are only talking about level 6 bachelor. So we are looking at this. For knowledge understanding, we are looking at this cluster number 1, this descriptor. So if we zoom in this particular descriptor, we can see that it stated describe advanced and theoretical, comprehensive, theoretical, technological knowledge, and demonstrate relevant skills in a specialized field or of a multidisciplinary nature related to the field of study, work, and or practice. So basically, in this descriptor, for level 6, they allow you to go beyond C2, demonstrate relevant skills. So that perhaps indicates that you can apply whatever facts, theories, and principles in C1, in C2 to the other high level. So we allow that. Okay, I'm sedikit di sini, sorry. I cannot move my slide. Ya. Okay. I can't move my slide. I'm sorry about this technical, somehow it does happen. Okay. Okay.
Mungkin semua participant tolong mute because the host is trying to mute all, tapi ada yang memang tidak boleh di mute because according to this attendees to join the platform from devices meeting app version that they don't actually support. So ada yang memang kita tak boleh nak mute. So mohon mute.
Okay. Alright. Thank you, Dr. Wanzanis. Apa? Alright. Alright. Let's move on. Okay. When we talk about knowledge understanding, no matter what, we cannot run away from cognitive domain. So because knowledge understanding is the first 2 levels in this cognitive domain. We are using Bloom's taxonomy. So when we look at the definition of cognitive domain from Bloom's perspective, it is a recall or recognition of knowledge and the development of intellectual skills and abilities. So even if you look at all the other learning domains by different authors, for instance, by Gagne's learning in Gagne's learning domain, Marzano, Solo taxonomy, or even Webb's depth of knowledge, they differentiate this knowledge understanding with the different levels or higher levels in Bloom's taxonomy. So that we can see the differences. Yeah? So if you go further and read further about all these domains, you can see the differences from knowledge understanding and also the higher level of intellectual skills. So even some authors say they have like Gagne, they have this verbal information which is knowledge, and then the rest on the level 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Bloom, so it is categorized or classified as intellectual skills. So from that we can see the difference between knowledge and understanding. But for my presentation, okay, it hangs again. Okay, wait. Okay, all right. So again, we are using Bloom's taxonomy. I think all of us are very familiar with Bloom's taxonomy. We are using revised version. Okay, so we have this remembering as the lowest level of Bloom's cognitive level, followed by understanding. So basically, this cluster 1 talks about remembering and understanding. But again, we have reached consensus if the program owners want to apply or use a higher level of cognitive taxonomy, that's fine, by all means. But you should be able to differentiate if you are using in cluster 1, if you are using, let's say, applying, for instance. So, and then in cluster 2, you should be able to differentiate your cluster 1 and cluster 2. So that's very important, so that we do not want to see the similarity between cluster 1 and cluster 2. So cluster 2 group will discuss in detail about that later. Yeah. Okay, so when we look at, basically, if we look at the definition of knowledge understanding, so knowledge is exhibiting memory of previously learned material by recalling facts, terms, and basic concept. Basically, there is no manipulation of fact. Dia just pelajar, hanya kita kendaki dia mengingat semula, mengeluarkan kembali daripada memory dia. Okay, they're just recalling facts, terms, and basic concepts. So, well, di sini kami panggil istilah attribute lah. But basically, you can use the actually action verb juga. Ya, maksudnya di sini kalau bercakap tentang knowledge, we are talking about recognize and even recall. Okay, so ada maksud di situ. Recognize, locating knowledge in long-term memory that's consistent with presented material, and then recall, retrieving relevant knowledge from long-term memory. And then understanding is second lowest in Bloom's taxonomy. We are talking about demonstrate understanding of facts and ideas by organizing, comparing, translating, interpreting given descriptions and stating main ideas. So if you look at the right side, kita ada banyak attributes atau even you can use that as the verbs actually, all the way from interpreting, exemplifying, classifying, summarizing, inferring, comparing, or even explaining. So these are some of the attributes, or even we can use that as action verbs actually in writing our PLOs. And then this is just some example of knowledge understanding CLO. Okay, here we have, for instance, there are two examples here. One is for science and technology, and one is for non-science and technology. So if you look at the action verbs that we use here, very simple. The first one, explain the theory and principle of information security, element of security, hacking cycle, hacktivism, ethical hacking. And then for non-science technology, in this particular course of innovation, product in tourism hospitality, so the CLO is identifying the concepts and practice on product innovation in tourism and hospitality industry. If you look at the course assessment plan, ya, kita sentiasa kena buat alignment lah. This is a must actually to have from CLO and then the delivery and then assessment. So here we have we are using C2 because the students are required to explain the theory and principles. So that is C2. So we are using case analysis here in this case, and we have two types of assessment method, quiz and also final exam. And then the other example here, identifying the concepts and practice. So identifying is the verb here referring to C1, yeah, the lowest level cognitive. And then we have delivery method of either a combination of direct instruction and also case study, as well as 2 types of assessment method, quiz and final exam. Again, most often in these 2 lowest level of cognitive domain, we have we assess them in quiz or test or final exam. So that's our common practice lah. So I think that's from me for cluster 1. Thank you, Pengerusi. Back to you, Mr. Chairperson.
Baik, terima kasih diucapkan kepada Prof. Dr. Irfan Naufal daripada USM atas pembentangan kluster yang pertama. So I'm allowing 1 question for the first cluster. Only 1. Then I will proceed to the next presentation. Yang berada di Webex boleh dapatkan 1 soalan mungkin.
Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Saya Dr. Citizenship dari UTM Melaka.
Baik.
Soalan saya untuk kluster 1, C1, C2 belum taksonomi, tapi untuk master sesuai tak kalau kita buat sampai C3 at least? Sebab master level kan tinggi sikit kan. Tadi disebut boleh lebih daripada C2 tadi. Terima kasih.
Tak ada masalah. So sebab itu kita kata sebab untuk master pula kita tengok pula descriptor dia. So dalam Mqf 2.0 pula dia ada pula descriptor yang berbeza untuk master level. Ya. Tetapi untuk peringkat first degree pun kita benarkan. Definitely at master's level we allow that to go beyond C1 and C2 for cluster number 1. So I think you need to refer to descriptor untuk master lah. So di sini memang untuk undergrad memang kita pun benarkan. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih atas soalan tersebut. Baik, soalan-soalan yang lain boleh dibawa ke akhir daripada pembentangan, setiap pembentangan ya. Terima kasih Prof. Irfan, boleh stop share screen.
Okay.
Baiklah, kita akan teruskan dengan pembentangan kluster yang kedua. Saya menjemput Profesor Madya Insinyur Dr. Hayati Abdullah daripada UTM untuk membentangkan kluster yang kedua.
Terima kasih Encik Wan Zainuddin. Izinkan saya untuk share, bagi saya few moment untuk share dulu.
Kurang jelas lah Dr. Hayati. Suara.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Boleh Prof. Teruskan.
Alright, thank you. And you can see my slides, yeah? Slide saya nampak?
Ya, nampak.
Okay, sekali lagi saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Encik Wan Zainuddin. Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Saya mohon izin untuk bercakap di dalam bahasa Inggeris kerana slides telah disediakan di dalam bahasa Inggeris. Yeah. Okay, very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Hayati and I will continue from Prof. Irfan with the Cluster 2. Cluster 2 is entitled Cognitive Skills. Now, I believe that having practiced and implementing OBE over the years, we are quite familiar with the Bloom's cognitive learning domain. Now, from a learning perspective, the cognitive domain includes 6 classification levels, as shared earlier by Prof. Irfan. And in the context of the Mqf 2.0, the cluster 2 or cognitive skills relates to thinking or intellectual capabilities and the ability to apply knowledge and skills.
Kurang jelas lah suara Dr. Hayati. Ada internet ke apa?
I'm not quite sure. I have a good internet connectivity. Anyway, I will try again. So in the context of the MQF 2.0, the cluster 2 or cognitive skills relates to thinking or intellectual capabilities and the ability to apply knowledge and skills. And such intellectual skills will then enable the learners to search and comprehend new information from different fields of knowledge and practices. Now, while the cluster 2 is named cognitive skills, what needs to be noted?
Maybe the speaker can switch off the video. If you switch off the video, we may hear you better.
Yes, I will try and do that. Okay, is that better?
Yes, yes.
Oh, great.
Better.
Right, thank you so much. So while the cluster 2 is named cognitive skills, what needs to be noted here is that the emphasis is on application. And with reference to the Bloom's cognitive learning domain, this would be C3 and above. Now I'm going to share with you again the slides shared earlier by Prof. Irfan on the level descriptors. You can find these descriptors in Appendix 2 of the MQF 2.0. In general, the level descriptor statement describes the learning achievement at a particular level. And what is shown in this slide is the descriptor for level 6 or the bachelor's program. And I have highlighted in red the descriptor for cluster 2 or cognitive skills. Now let's take a closer look at the descriptor here. Level 6, the learner is expected to be able to demonstrate intellectual independence in the application of knowledge within specific fields by applying critical, analytical, and evaluation skills in the field of study, work, or practice. It is also expected that the learner is able to manage, resolve complex applications, and handle unpredictable issues with creative and innovative solutions, and to be able to apply skills, knowledge to a range of approaches in the field of study, work, or practice. Now, as you can see from the descriptor here, the emphasis is on application, that is applying critical, analytical, and evaluation skills. And so, with reference to the Bloom's cognitive learning domain, this again would be C3 and above. Now that we've seen the descriptor of the learning achievement that is expected, to enable us to prepare the course assessment plan, let us now see what are the features or attributes of cluster 2. The attributes cluster 2 relates to problem solving and scientific skills as shown here. Of course, this came about as you saw from Prof. Dr. Sharifah's presentation earlier. This comes about from the mapping of the learning outcome domains, or LOD, between the MQF 1.0 and MQF 2.0. So let's look a little bit deeper into these attributes. The problem-solving skills involves the ability to identify problems, apply, analyze problems, evaluate and select alternatives, making decisions and implementing solutions. Now, as for the scientific skills mirroring the problem-solving skills involves the ability to skillfully conceptualize ideas, generate solutions, evaluate, select, implement, integrate, develop, and create or produce something into existence. These are basically the attributes and sub-attributes of cluster 2 or cognitive skills. Now, having looked at the descriptor and attributes, let us see how this could be used in the course assessment plan. We have here an example of a course assessment plan, and we can see here the CLO, or the course learning outcome, uses the action verb apply. So the verb is focused and targets the level of performance appropriate for that course. And in this example, the CLO involves level C3 of the Bloom's cognitive domain. And examples of assessment tasks for cluster 2 can be in the form of written examinations or essay questions, assignment, as well as project reports. Now, as this webinar is an introductory session, I believe we will be deliberating this further in our upcoming programs. And I'm looking forward to meet all of you again, inshallah. For now, I hope that you have an idea of the descriptor and attributes of cluster 2 in reference to MQF 2.0 and how it comes into place in the course assessment plan. So, and with that, I thank you for your kind attention. Back to you, Encik Wan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hayati, for the presentation. Okay, so I would like to have one question for this presentation. Okay, I just read the question that wrote in the comment, in the chat. Adakah balance final assessment hanya 5%?
All right, thank you. Thank you for that question. Okay, the given is just an example. Yeah, it was just an example. It has, you know, for that particular CLO, yeah, the assessment due to the, you know, the SLT, etc. So the assessment for the final was set to be 5% for that particular CLO only. So the final assessment may include the CLO for other, may include other CLOs, but in that particular example, that is just for that particular CLO. I hope that answers the question.
Some of them say that it can't really clear. Can you repeat once?
Okay, what I was saying just now was that sharing of the example represents one of the CLO of the entire course. So if you look at, if it says final assessment is just 5%, it's for that particular CLO. There may be other CLOs for that course.
Okay. Okay, I think it's clear. Thank you very much, Dr. Hayati, for the presentation. If there is anything, question that's related to your cluster, I will invite you next. Okay, next, I would like to invite Professor Madya Technology, Dr. Sharifah Ruzaina Syed Aris from your ITM to deliver the third presentation, the third cluster. Please be welcome.
Okay, thank you, Encik Wan Zai. We meet again, so please allow me to share my screen, Encik Wan.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Sekejap ya. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, can you see my slide? Can you hear my voice clearly? Boleh?
Yes.
Okey, Alhamdulillah. So saya tak tutup video, tak apa kot ya. Clear dah suara ya. Okey, insyaAllah. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, kita berjumpa lagi for me to share with you cluster 3. Okay, for this cluster 3, we have 6 elements, functional work skills. And I will present practical skills, digital skills, and numeracy skill, and the rest will be presented by PM Dr. Mariam, insyaAllah. Okay, all right. Okay, but not worry so much about the label here, A, B, C, D, E. Your university can have your own labeling style, okay? Yang penting adalah you measure all the 11 learning outcome domain, right? So this is the description of practical skills, back then, when you talk about practical skill, we will we have in our mind, kita akan bayangkan psychomotor. That's all in our mind, kan? So maknanya bila orang-orang daripada accounting, orang-orang daripada business akan tertanya-tanya macam mana nak measure practical skills. It's difficult for them to measure practical skill when it involve only psychomotor domain, movement and so on, But Alhamdulillah, this time with Mqf 2.0, okay, Alhamdulillah, the definition has been expanded to more broad and that allow orang kata allow not only SNT or not only what we call that hands-on kind of things. So if you look at the description, I have actually point out 5 important main here where it encompasses of what can be work skills, operational skills, employment environment, specialist skills, and also occupational related work skills. So if you look at these descriptions, right, it includes specialized skills, which are set by specific subject, discipline, and so on. So meaning to say that maybe, for example, like accounting, program accounting, for example, kalau dulu it's difficult for them to measure these practical skills because whatever it is, when we talk about practical skills, it will align back to psychomotor domain. But this, with this new definition, for example, maybe accounting, for example, okay, they can measure by looking at the ledger, then they can see that, the ledger is not balanced and so on. So maybe they can use this because that is part of their occupational related work skill, right? For example, maybe like I'm from Faculty of Education, for example, like my faculty will produce a teacher, so meaning to say that I have to make sure that we at the faculty or the curriculum developer come up with a set of skills, and one of the skills maybe to come out with to have a skills that they can actually come out with pedagogy, for example, to maybe to improve different learning disability. So that can be also practical skills because that can be part of the occupational related work skills or specialized skills that actually represent the attributes of certain program. Okay. Now, so this is the descriptor. Okay, as I said, I've mentioned earlier, I have actually give examples from my faculty. So apply a range of essential methods and procedure to solve a broad range of problems. Can be review, make adjustment, and supervise related practices and processes concerning field or specialization. So this is the beauty of this Mqf 2.0, where it gives a broad definition that can be used by any kinds of curriculum, the niche of the curriculum, Okay, so this is, I think this is not new for all of us because when we talk about practical skills by Harrow in 1972, this is actually linked to psychomotor domain. So I'm not going to elaborate this in detail because when we talk about practical skill and when we relate it with psychomotor related practical or technical skills, there is nothing new about this. Everyone already familiar with this. So let's move on. So this is an examples of attributes of practical skills. And we have give notes here. Oops, I cannot move this. Okay, so if you look at these attributes of practical skills, okay, these are some of the examples. I have mentioned earlier that in order for us to come up with these attributes, we have an engagement session with many people, with many experts in this. field, in science and technology fields, and also social science fields. So these are among the attributes or among the action verb that you can use, when you want to coming up with this course learning outcome or statement of course learning outcome. And you see that my note here, our note here, instead of measuring psychomotor domain, some of the attributes can measure cognitive or affective domain if the attributes reflect the occupational workplace and professional practice criteria. Again, like I mentioned earlier, you have to really set your criteria or the skill set of your graduate. Then it make your the design of the curriculum become easier for you to match with which courses that actually measure practical skills. So I'm not going to read all the attributes here. Okay. Now, I'll move to, just now I've talked about practical skills. Okay, let's move on to digital skills. Dr. Mariam will touch on yang tu ya. Okay, now let's move on to digital skills. Okay, now if you look at this MQF 2017, so this is the description that you can get in MQF 2.0. Okay, digital skills generally refer to ability to use information or digital technology to support work and studies. Now, when you look at UNESCO 2018, it deliberate further on this. What do you mean by digital skills, or sometimes it's being called digital literacy, is the ability to assess, manage, understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, and create information safely through digital devices and network technologies. So sometimes it refers to computer literacy, ICT literacy, information literacy, or media literacy. Now let's move on. In general, so basically, if you browse internet and so on, you can see that basically these are the things, the two things when you talk about digital skills. Where it can be measured as generic skills or discipline-based skill. Where it encompasses of information literacy. Mengganggu lah dia ni. Information literacy or digital communication skills. So when you talk about information literacy, it can be the ability to store, to use and share information and process using application for problem solving, and to reproduce and process data into more understandable form. Or it can be digital communication skills, whereby it is the ability to generate clear text and content, present idea or information using digital program or using software or other internet tools. I think we are familiar with this, because this is the second year we are having online distance learning, I hope, Okay, so this is the descriptor for level 6 for digital skills. Use a broad range of information, media and technology applications to support study and or work. Now, let's look at this one. So, like I've mentioned here, like I have mentioned just now, we have engaged with several experts in these digital skills. And we have come up with the 5 components digital skills. The first one is digital design. So I hope when you listen to these 5 components of digital skills, you yourself reflect your own course. So it can be the first one, digital design. It can be social media. It can be device and apps. It can be digital collaboration and also digital ethic and etiquette. So I'm sure at this moment when you hear this, when you hear these 5 components of digital skills, please relook at your the course that you are teaching. Okay. Now, so the first one is digital design. Okay. Now, graphic design is the method. Digital design is a method by which graphic design are created using certain apps, computer, tablet, and so on. And then this is the digital designer skill set. Where they can generate visual ideas. They can they as a graphic designer, where they can come up with a 2D and 3D animation and so on, right? And through this skill set, and through these skills that you can apply and to come up with a product, for example, like e-magazine, e-book, okay, maybe animation, and maybe 3D development, photography, and so on. So this is the application of digital design. Yeah. Now, so the end, this is another thing that I have added in this slide, digital marketing. This is not in your the one that I have given earlier. Yeah. So this is also can be an application of digital design, digital marketing, digital business analysis, digital design and data visualization, and also search engine marketing. So this is also can be an application of digital design. Now, second is social media. Okay, the first one, if you look at the first one, is the creativity. Okay, can be content curation, can be writing, is one of the social media skills, can be organization, aptitude, relationship building, and also community management. So these can be among the social media skills that we have shared. But again, it depends on your discipline, and you can come up with this is not limited to what we shared here. Okay. And another one is that device and app skill. This is the definition. Device or apps, which also known as gadget, can be defined as smartphone, tablet, and portable game. This is the definition. If you look at the second paragraph, the gadget may be static, such as calculator and so on. Jangan pula ada yang lepas ni semua orang guna CLO menggunakan calculator. No, this is definition of device and app skills. Please jangan semua orang berebut nak measure CLO by using calculator. No, right? Okay, this is only the definition. Okay. All right. Now let's look at digital collaboration skills. So basically, the digital collaboration skills is where we use digital technology for collaboration. To connect with peers, students. We are talking about students, to connect with peers abroad, international, and so on through online meeting, online tip chat room. This is also something that we are familiar with. This pandemic have increase our skills in this kind of digital collaboration and so on. I think I don't have to elaborate further on this, but you have to make sure that whether your program or whether your course, there is a need for your course to measure this digital collaboration. That is the important thing that you need to know, right? And the other one is digital ethic and etiquette. Both digital ethic and etiquette are frequently used interchangeably. So these are the definition of digital ethic and also etiquette, which I don't think I have to read it. But this, for example, like I think this is mostly applicable to program with communication, MESCOM, and also and also law, for example, where digital ethic can be the dominant domain that they need to measure in their program. All right, that is an examples of program that really into this digital ethic and etiquette examples. All right, so we would like to share these several principles of digital ethic. It can be ethic of effective communication and conversation, right? Because we live in interconnected world just now, and the SOCMED is very popular among our students, among our netizen, and so on. So sometimes some of the program, this aspect is very important. So by sharing these principles of digital ethics, we hope that it will help you to coming up with the course learning outcome, to coming up with assessment and so on. Okay, and the secondly is ethic of images, privacy and security, and also copyright infringement. So these are among several principles that can be adopted and adapt, that can give you that can guide you in order for you to come up with the course learning outcome, assessment, and also assessment, and also rubric. Also can also be helpful by looking at these principles in digital ethic. Okay, now these are some of attributes of digital skills that can be adopted by your university or by your course. And this is examples of science and technology and also social sciences that can adopt all these examples given here on these attributes of digital skills. Gather, articulation, and let's move on to the next slide where there's a definition accompany this attribute. Convey, what do you mean by convey? Present information through the use of digital. Articulation, but what do you mean by articulation? Able to express clearly. And what do you mean by collaborate? Use technology or platform for collaboration, and so on. So these are some of the attributes of digital skills that can be used. The attribute, although it is attribute, but what Prof. Irfan have mentioned just now, this also can be used as your action verb, as your verb in your development of course learning outcome. Okay. Now, so end of these attributes for digital skills. Let's move on to numeracy skills. Okay. Now, first time when we MQA introduce this numeracy skills, ramai yang terlompat-lompat. Yang berkata macam mana program art and design, for example, and program film, theatre, and sorry, I give these examples from film, theatre, animation, for example. How can we measure these numeracy skills? Right? Sorry, I know that maybe ada yang bertanya that question, so allow me to share this. Now, so there are several yang kata macam mana kursus-kursus yang without this SNT nak measure numeracy skills, right? So if you look at the description here, right, numeracy is not all about numbers, right? So you can read this description. If you look at MQA, these are the quantitative skills that require learners to acquire increasingly higher levels of numerical skills. But it is acknowledged an important living skill relevant in study, work, and daily life, right? And then if you look at, you can read it, if you look at the end of the sentence, it may include understanding of basic maths, symbols relating to statistical technique, right? So if you look at this description, takkanlah tak ada kursus satu pun di dalam program yang involve students to have this statistical technique. Or now, so let's look at UNESCO punya description. So numeracy skills is the ability to access, use, interpret, and communicate mathematical information and ideas in order to engage in and manage mathematical demand. And also the second sentence, second paragraph, numerate behavior involve managing a situation or solving a problem in a real context by responding to mathematical content, information, ideas represented in multiple ways. So again, I would like to to emphasize on this, takkan tak ada pun satu kursus kita yang have this kind of information, that have this kind of orang kata apa, learning outcome ataupun assessment that being addressed as what has been mentioned by MQA description and also UNESCO. Okay, now again, earlier in 2018, so UNESCO have also come up with a description on this. Of course, when you talk about numeracy, tasks are largely a function of the cognitive demands. But numeracy is key to the application of the scientific method and to critical thinking, right? So this is also aligned with what has been mentioned earlier. But when you look at the star there, majority of situations, numeracy skills measure cognitive domain level 3, 4, 5, and 6. Bukanlah semua jenis affective ke psychomotor, because this is what from our from literature review and also from expert content, which also agree with us that if you want to measure numeracy, kalau boleh dan memang kalau boleh memang digalakkan sangat, focus on cognitive domain level 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's move on to this is descriptor. Okay, again, there is no orang kata semuanya align, use and combine numerical and graphical visual data for study and work. Okay, now these are examples of numeracy skills. So I have also included source here. There are 8 actually, where it can be knowledge of numbers and figures. It can be understanding relationship between numbers. It can be interpreting mathematical information. It can be visual perception of information. I think when you talk about, when you refer to visual perceptions, so meaning to say that numeracy can also align, or it can also be part of this outcome in the non-SND. Okay, argumentation and logical thinking, calculation skills, measurement and data analysis, scheduling or budgeting. Ini orang business, orang accounting, you don't have to worry about this. And also understanding trend, working with graphical representation. So there is no, hopefully after looking at this example, so hopefully there is no more question about how am I going to measure numeracy skills in your program, for example. Yeah. Okay, so this is another examples of when you talk about essential of numeracy or numeracy skills. Okay, the first one, yeah, if operation and calculation. So this is like a lowest kind of numeracy skills, yeah, operation and calculation. Now, second, graphical representation. Okay, for those yang not so much mathematics, we don't have calculus, advanced calculus and so on. So you will look into this graphical representation. Yeah. And also then we go to number 3, quantitative reasoning and logical thinking, handling information, identify mathematical information, understand numbers, calculate, estimation, and so on. Draw conclusion, reliability and significance of data. Okay, whether we do a research, for example, we have course in research where maybe if you let's say only use a qualitative, doesn't matter, because qualitative also you have like interpret data, draw conclusion, reliability and significance of data and so on. Yeah. All right. And number 4 is complex numbers. Mainly this might be for program with SNT, for example, like engineering, yeah, and programming, yeah, computer based and so on. And other programs that related to SNT. And the last one is spatial visualization and geometric reasoning. When you talk about this, oh, okay, now I can see that my program, for example, from visual arts, for example, or maybe from architecture, for example, can measure these numeracy skills from this definition of spatial visualization and geometric reasoning. Yeah. Okay, so these are some of attributes of numeracy skills that can be shared with all of you, but it's not limited to, as I mentioned earlier. I would like to stress on this. This is not limited to. Yeah, so you can see that the science technology, these are some of examples of attribute for science technology, and also the right one are the examples of attributes for non-SNT. Yeah, obtain relationship, estimate, recognize, respond, express, transforming, solve problem, and so on. Yeah, so these are some of the examples. And if you look at this, okay, the definition for each attribute that I have mentioned earlier, for example, like calculate, what do you mean by calculate? Interpret, what do you mean by interpret? Analyze, what do you mean by analyze? So these are some of the definition, but again, you can come up with your definition because some definition might different from one discipline to another. Yeah, you can come up with your own discipline, with your own operational definition that aligned with attributes or the course learning outcome that you would like to include in your program. Yeah. And this is the continuation of attribute just now. What does it mean by obtain relationship, making sense of data? How do you respond to information which is presented in mathematical way, for example, in graph, table, charts, and so on? How are you going to transform subject into quantitative data, and how students are going to express idea and situation using numerical or mathematical information? So I think that is all from me. I have basically share with you 3 learning outcome domain under functional work skill, which is practical skills, digital skills, and also numeracy skills. So anything, please put in chat, reserve your session, Q&A session later. Okay. Okay, so that's all from me. Let me stop sharing.
Thank you, Doctor. So you would like to have the question after Dr. Mariam or now?
We still have enough time.
Can I have one question?
Okay, one question.
Farid from Kelantan. I'm more interested on the assessing practical skill. Can we do the skill assessment using their collective outcome, or must we do the practical skill assessment while they working on the skill? Do you get my question?
Can you please repeat
Okay.
and speak louder, please?
All right. Can we do skill assessment using their collective outcome of the skill? I mean, at the end of the skill, or must we do the assessment of the skill during the procedure that they are working on? I mean, while they are working on that particular skill.
Oh, all right. So it depends on you, Dr. Raja Azman. It depends on you. How are you going to develop your assessment? It depends. It depends to you.
So it can be done, right?
Yes, can be done. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Because you are the course developer.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Mariam Dr. Mariam Taib from UMT to present her part. Okay, Doctor. Okay, Dr. Mariam, terang dah nampak. You can start. Okay, while we're waiting for Dr. Mariam to settle the technical part, I would like to read the question in the chat. Okay, where do we apply on the assessment on the speed test producing the artwork or graphic layout? Or you can respond on the question. Means, can we use practical report to measure science practical without observing the student do the practical?
Mana soalannya Dr. Wan Zai?
Dekat chat, ada dekat chat.
Bolehkah practical skill diajar melalui online class ke tadi?
Ada dua soalan.
Tak nampak.
Dah banyak soalan.
Dah banyak soalan. Okay, sekejap. While waiting for Dr. Mariam, dah okey ke?
Dah.
Oh, okey.
Okey lah, kalau gitu kita teruskan dengan Dr. Mariam dulu.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Wan Zai. Terima kasih Dr. Sharifah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat petang semua. Saya Mariam Taib dari UMT. Saya akan share petang ini 3 lagi subclusters di bawah cluster 3 iaitu Functional Work Skills. Kalau tadi Dr. Shah telah share tentang Practical Skills 3A, Digital Skills 3D dan Numeracy Skills 3E. Saya akan sambung 3 lagi learning outcome which is interpersonal skill, communication skills and leadership and autonomy and responsibility. And if we look at MQF 1.0 LOD 5, number 5, which comprise 3 different learning outcomes, communication, leadership, teamwork, we can actually see MQF 2.0 under cluster 3, they become standalone learning outcome. Yeah. So communication now is cluster 3C, leadership is 3F, and teamwork plus MQF 1.0 LOD number 3 becomes the interpersonal skill. Okay. So the description for interpersonal skills, we have this from our MQF 2.0 document. It is very straightforward, and as the terminology interpersonal, it is between the person and other people. So the description is interpersonal skills refer to a range of skills which, amongst others, include interactive communication, relationships, and collaborative skills in managing relationships in teams and within the organization, and also networking with people of different cultures as well as social skills or etiquette. So if we look ataupun kalau kita buka dokumen MQF 2.0 tu sendiri, we can actually derive the attributes, apa skills yang kita nak measure daripada subcluster ini. Okay, and this is the descriptor. Very straightforward. Work together with different people in diverse learning and working communities, as well as other groups locally and internationally. Work together with different people. So it is interpersonal. And these are some of the attributes for interpersonal skills that we suggested, where we derived from the description and descriptor. And as have been mentioned by my colleagues, these are the suggestions. Dia bukan rigid, dia tidak semestinya kita ambil daripada sini saja. We can have our own attributes that we feel answers the respective learning outcome that we would like to measure. Okay, and this is actually the attributes of interpersonal skills, which is taken from buku rubrik ICGPA, and buku rubrik ICGPA is still very much relevant to for us to refer. So apart from the attributes that we suggested, we already have these attributes of interpersonal skill dalam buku rubrik ICGPA under MQF 1.0 LOD number 3. Okay. And next is communication skills. Kalau sebelum ni dia ada dalam domain 5 bercampur ketiga-tiganya. So ini the description from the MQF 2.0 itself. Communication skill refer generally to the ability to communicate. Oh, the slides tak clear. Tak nampak tulisannya.
Switch off your video, maybe it'll help. Thank you.
Oh dia. Terus saya kena
sekarang dah okey sikit. Dia macam take time to appear.
Dia takes time untuk jadi clear ya. Sekarang dah nampak okey . Okey, dia macam ada transition of the slides. Okay. So this is the fourth skills in cluster 3, communication skills. Refer generally to the ability to communicate, convey information, ideas, reports cogently, professionally, in appropriate language. So yang ni pun description ni kita boleh dapat exactly daripada dokumen MQF 2.0 itu sendiri. And this is the descriptor. Convey ideas both in written or oral forms, using appropriate and different forms of presentation, confidently, accurately, coherently, in appropriate context, in a well-structured manner to a diversity of audiences. Very straightforward we can actually think of the attributes that we should measure that reflect communication skills. And again, these are some of the suggestions for attributes of communication skills. Yeah, apart from what we already have in our buku rubrik ICGPA. Again, this one is taken from buku rubrik ICGPA, still applicable. And here we have some other suggestions for attributes of communication skills. Okay, and the last one is leadership, autonomy and responsibility. Kalau sebelum ni nama learning outcome tu adalah leadership sahaja, now we have leadership, autonomy and responsibilities. A bit longer, where we actually we are being given the opportunity to measure more than leadership. Ya, kalau sebelum ni kita macam agak rigid kepada how to measure the leadership in the students, leadership skill in the students. So if we cannot apply leadership or we cannot measure leadership per se in our course, we can actually choose autonomy. Kita tengok macam mana dia make decisions or dia set goals for group work contohnya, ataupun we have a group discussion in class ataupun group project happening in class live, so we can actually see how they have this autonomy skill. Dan juga responsibility. So basically this subcluster leadership, autonomy and responsibility does not necessarily mean you only have to measure the leadership part. So the accountability, the responsibility, their resilience, their professional decision making, all those things now we can use as part of the attributes to measure in this learning outcome. Okay, and this is the descriptor. Very clear. I think for leadership, not so much changes compared to the other three: practical skills, digital skills, and numeracy skills. So we can actually derive from this, sebab dia macam like Prof Irfan said, dia macam dah ada verb dia situ. So we can actually derive what are the attributes that we would like to measure from this descriptor in our MQF 2.0 document. And these are some of the new suggested attributes for leadership, autonomy and responsibility. And we still have our attributes from buku rubrik ICGPA itself. Okay, so we do not share our course assessment plan now because we are going to have a individual series for these clusters. So insyaAllah nanti dalam siri webinar itu kita akan share the course assessment plan. So basically itu ke-6 subclusters yang ada ataupun 6 learning outcomes yang ada di bawah cluster 3, functional work skills, practical skills, interpersonal skills, communication skills, digital skills, numeracy skills, and leadership, autonomy and responsibility. So saya rasa itu saja. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih pada Dr. Mariam atas pembentangan tadi. Kita buka, we open the floor to have one question.
Soalan from chat, Encik Wan. The other three clusters ada three sub clusters under cluster 3 are quite straightforward ya. Dia macam yang MQF 1.0 jugalah.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum. Saya nak tanya boleh?
Boleh.
Dalam kluster untuk leadership ni, teamwork tak termasuk kan? Sebab teamwork should be under cluster interpersonal. Betul ke? Terima kasih.
Dari segi definitionnya, yes, teamwork itu masuk dalam interpersonal skills. However, because when we are measuring leadership, of course they have to work in group kan. So the assessment can be group work, but what we want to measure, attributes dia depend on the learning outcome. Maksudnya activity can be the same, but what we want to measure depends on the respective learning outcome that we would like to measure lah.
Okey, terima kasih.
Sama.
Baiklah, terima kasih kepada Dr. Mariam dan juga Dr. Sharifah atas pembentangan untuk kluster yang ketiga. We proceed to the next cluster. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Surya Baba from UMK to deliver the fourth presentation of the cluster 4.
Thank you, Cik Wan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. Myself and Dr. Anwar will be presenting the cluster 4 that consists of 2 PLOs, and at the end of our presentation, there will be some sort like a presentation on our self-entrepreneurship assessment, and we will try to have a short quiz if we have time permitted. Okay. I wish that Dr. Anwar, can you please share the slide, please? Okay, thank you, Dr. Anwar. Okay, in cluster 4, there are 2 skills that being classified as personal and entrepreneurial skills that has been addressed as 4A or PLO 9 at our university, and PLO 10 for entrepreneurial skills. So both these LOs basically I will address later. And the component that we are going to share is about the objectives, the introductions of this cluster. Of course, we support with the descriptors and the attributes for both personal and entrepreneurial skills. And if we have time, we'll share the examples of course assessment plan or CAP. Okay. The introduction. The personal skills is the aspect of character such as honesty, punctuality, time management, keeping to and maintaining deadlines that are important in a work environment are also important for personal skills. That was categorized under personal skills where we plug into LOD 9. Whereas the entrepreneurial skills, that is LOD 10, basically it is an important personal qualities that includes creativity, grit, and drive. The drive to be an entrepreneur is set as personal skills, but also requires the requisite of relevant knowledge, cognitive and personal and functional skills. So that it was the basic introduction for the both personal skills and also entrepreneurial skills. If I go further deeper, personal skills has the descriptors as engage effectively in self-directed lifelong learning and professional pathways. Whereas for the entrepreneurial skills, it demonstrates entrepreneurial competency with selected projects and able to demonstrate and appreciations of broader social, political, economic, and cultural issues at local, national, and regional level. Meaning to say, these are the descriptors that has been addressed for those both skills. Let's move to the personal skills as being addressed by my colleague from previous cluster. We have actually captured few attributes under personal skills, and has been mentioned over and over and over again. These attributes are actually some of the examples, but if you feel that your program have something like more similar or more accurate to the personal skills of your program, please do so. So under these attributes, under the personal skill, the attributes are the intrapersonal skills, which are those skills individual required to possess and perfect in order to manage themselves, and it is a prerequisite to interpersonal skills. That is the definition for intrapersonal skills. Whereas for the autonomous, it is lack of independent and having the power to make own decision. And this is well known when we give someone the autonomy to do certain activities or project. So at the end of the learning outcome measurement, that we're able to see, we're able to observe, we're able to assess that students are independently doing their work. Another important attributes under personal skills is proactiveness, which has been defined as taking action by causing change and not only reacting to change when it's happened. So it is more like opposite of reactive. Yeah? Proactive is more like you're able to anticipate, you're able to plan, so that we were able to make, we're able to allow our student to be more proactiveness rather than reactive. Another attributes under personal skills is achievement oriented, whereby it has been defined as ability to put higher target and has high endurance in facing challenges. For example, in this critical moment whereby students are all online, so what are their target in finishing their study for the semester? So they have the high endurance in facing challenges, such as enthusiasm for independent learning, having intellectual skills and self-development. So there are the 4 attributes that has been captured under personal skills. Yeah? So these are this example, a course assessment plan where we allow this LOD that plant into affective domain. So in this course assessment plan, A3, which is affective 3, that applies for their tasks that accumulate 40% for 48 hours. And the next PLO or class 4B, I will put emphasis on entrepreneurial skills. Of coming these 7 attributes, we have actually having an FGD among the experts among the entrepreneurial educators and academicians. So after having numbers of focus group discussion, these are the conceptualization that has been put forward under entrepreneurial skills, which are self-efficacy, that has been defined as one's belief about own capabilities to succeed in achieving an outcome or reaching a goal. Another attribute that has been conceptualized under personal entrepreneurial skill is competitive. So everyone knows what is competitive like. And of course, an entrepreneurial skills need to have a kind of networking. So to have networking, meaning to be part of society, to be part of fraternity, to be part of community and so forth. Another important attribute that being put forward by the entrepreneur experts are calculative risk taking. So it has been defined finally. There is the ability to understand the actual or chance of failure, whose degree of probability has been estimated before some undertaking is entered upon. So this is a very important attributes under 4B. And of course, an entrepreneurial mindset, one of the major character is innovative and creative. And we allow the definition as able to use creative intelligence to improve, to create change, and to disrupt the status quo. Another two last attributes are opportunity recognition. This is very important because every entrepreneur, they should able to recognize any opportunity. Yeah? So the definitions upon this opportunity recognition is that they're able to identify new businesses based on the opportunities, and both, of course, based on prior knowledge, past experiences, current market conditions, and potentially profitable new business venture. And the last attribute under entrepreneurial skills is business acumen. This is not common. Yeah. The definition for business acumen is able to understand, able to interpret, able to analyze and deal with business situation in a professional and profitable manner. So of course, this is very important. So we sort of give an example under the course of foundation in entrepreneurship that this is a very low level, low level of affective domain, A1. So the task given is about doing a case analysis. Yeah? So I think that will be part that I have to share. Dr. Anwar, are you ready to share the SEA to student entrepreneurship attributes is 2:1? We will go further in our next series. Dr. Anwar, you can share so that at the end, our user, either the lecturer or our student, able to identify what are their basic competency, what are the student profile, and so forth. Okay, Dr. Anwar, I pass the baton to you. Thank you, everyone. Dr. Anwar? So actually, while waiting for Dr. Anwar to present a snapshot of what is in our SEA, is all about testing, assessing oneself and entrepreneurship competency actually. So when the student get access to this assessment, at the end there will be a profiling for ensuring for profiling of their entrepreneurship competency and profiling of their competency and capabilities. Yeah. Okay. Silakan, Dr. Anwar. Thank you.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum. Sikit je, okay, saya akan menceritakan sikitlah berkaitan dengan student entrepreneurship attribute. Ini antara yang sebelum tu saya I would like to explain about LOD 9, iaitu personal, dengar ke? Dengar
Yeah.
Okey, berkaitan dengan LOD 9 untuk pahaman kepada semualah bahawa dia adalah derived daripada LOD 7, MQF 1.0 dan juga LOD 4. Kalau LOD 7 adalah LOD 4 adalah value, attitude dan juga personalism, dan juga kalau tengok LOD 7 ialah management, online learning lah, skill. So kalau tengok daripada LOD 10, entrepreneurial skill ni dia melibatkan LOD 8, iaitu berkaitan dengan managerial and also entrepreneurial skill. So dalam konteks ini saya akan share berkaitan dengan student entrepreneurship attribute. Kalau tengok kat sini boleh nampak ya, kita pergi next sikit je. Okey, ini adalah yang dibangunkan oleh pihak UMK sendiri untuk memberi ada link pada screen tersebut. Okay, you can see they have the administrator login page. These are the administrator dashboard. So we can see the authorization is put it here by UMK to authorize all the user here to capture, dan measurement is basically based on the 3 factor, which is personal factor, psychological factor and the contextual factor. So we can see here in the first personal factor, it consists of environment, which is persekitaran, and then skill. Okay, for psychological factor, that focus on the attribute kesawanan and also opportunity, recognizing macam contohnya pengambilan peluang. So based on the networking and social relationship. So the last one is the employment of choice, and they are several questions through this student entrepreneurship attribute instrument. So there are 19 questions. The first personal factor, second is a 90 question, and a 5 question for the last contextual factor. So we can see the personal factor ini dia punya figure out lah apa dia punya untuk dapatkan in terms of the value of personal factor bagi candidate atau pelajar itu sendiri. So yang kedua ialah fokus kepada psychological factor. Ini antara the output. You can see that contoh soalan nombor 20, boleh nampak ke dia punya ni? So dia kata saya suka berada di dalam kedudukan berkuasa di atas satu-satu kumpulan. So dalam konteks ini kita akan boleh nampak from there dia akan skill kepada skill 1 hingga 4, dan kita boleh nampak secara overall bagaimana psychological factor ini memberi impact kepada entrepreneurial skill bagi pelajar tersebut. So last ialah contextual factor. Ini adalah contohnya pada question 39, dia menyatakan bahawa orang kelihatan selesa berada di sekeliling saya. Maksudnya dalam konteks ini kita tengok the graph, it show that skala yang menyatakan bahawa from the question 1 dan juga question Q1, Q2, Q3 dan Q4. Okay, the last one is correspondence. So ini ialah kita boleh tengok dari segi dia will link the score cards for each student, and dia boleh paparkan the ability of student dalam in terms of entrepreneurial skill. Okay, ini antara scorecard yang dihasilkanlah melalui sistem yang dinyatakan. Okay, so saya akan share, semua boleh tengok kepada ini, and then boleh rujuk juga kepada slide yang telah dikongsi. So last kali, okay, untuk mengakhiri untuk session ini ada 10 question quiz. Basically is based on your understanding from the beginning of the sessions for cluster number 4. So hopefully everyone can try lah untuk menjawab soalan ini tersebut. So rasanya itu sahaja daripada saya. So thank you. Boleh ambil kan? Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anwar and Prof. Surya for the presentation. Next, I would like to invite any one of the participants that want to ask or clarify something. Please.
Silakan.
Ada apa-apa soalan ke?
Kalau tak ada, I give my question lah.
Okay.
Boleh.
See, sorry lah, because I ada very low understanding of this OBE. So I nak tanya about entrepreneur. Kalau nak sebut pun tak reti. Entrepreneurial skill, right?
Entrepreneurial skill. Boleh.
Dia kena belit sikit entrepreneurial skill. It's okay.
So I sebut macam tak bunyi-bunyi sikit biar.
Tak apa.
Alright, based on my
Can you speak louder? I can't
based
really
on
hear you.
my understanding sekarang ni kan, and then I believe many of my close friends also when we have to produce or come out with the PLO of entrepreneurial skill, then we always think about something that related to business, money, income generation, something like that. But based on this presentation, I come to understand that it is more on the attributes, attribute of the entrepreneurial skill instead of
into business.
Into the business thing. Yeah. Any comment from you, Prof?
Yeah, I really respect your commotion. I really respect your ideas. We came out with these 7 attributes. It's not from anywhere, but it's come from the mouth of the experts from our few rounds of FGD. So something like calculative risk-taking is something new, whereby the experts has given the concise definition of calculative risk-taking. It's just like a counseling program. The counselor need to learn counseling skills, but we as laymen, we can learn counseling skill like that, negotiation skills, like disclosing skill, that fair phrasing skills. So skills that can be adapted and can be used daily in our daily life. It's just like like Raja Azman, Dr. Raja Azman, you have mentioned. It's not much like to be a business person. It's not like to be an entrepreneur person, but it's more like cultivating the attributes that can be adapted, that can be nurtured into our student attributes. That is actually what we're trying to share. Of course, very difficult to adjust where would you put these attributes in your program. And sometimes like okay, letak sini, but it should be well designed when you create a program or whenever you create a courses. These attributes under the roof of entrepreneurial skills should be well designed and well planned. So at the end, your CLO should have certain tasks that actually will align to the CLO, so that in the end, these attributes can be captivated cultivated among our students. That is very important. Thank you, Dr. Raja Azman, for your question.
Next question. We have about 5 minutes before the next presentation.
Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Boleh dengar
Boleh, silakan.
Okay, saya Ahmad Duri dari UTM. With regards to the 4B, entrepreneurship, okay, what constitutes a higher level of entrepreneurship compared to a low level of entrepreneurship? Because at the end of the day, you know, we need to make some kind of measurement and assess the performance of students. For example, like cognitive skills, we can always refer to Bloom taxonomy. So I'd like to hear your view on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Basically, it is under the domain of affective. Yeah. So affective domain will be under A, under 1, 2, 3, 4 until the highest level of affective domain. So it should be aligned when you develop your course learning outcome as to assess or to measure entrepreneurial skills that you should able to choose the verb, action verb that suitable to the task given or the task given on that particular CLO. So it means it has some rank, maybe under A1, A2 or even higher than that. Okay, so depending. Okay, thank you.
Mungkin boleh saya sedikit tambahlah, sikit tambah daripada apa yang Prof mention tadi berkaitan dengan contohlah dalam konteks pengurusan masa, salah satu daripada aktiviti kesawanan, kita boleh tengok bagaimana contoh pentaksiran yang boleh di-apply kepada pelajar itu. Mungkin dari segi kerja khusus tugasan, kita boleh tengok dari konteks bagaimana tugasan ataupun laporan refleksi. Itu antara juga salah satu daripada tools ataupun instrumen pentaksiran yang sesuai boleh digunakan untuk capture the entrepreneurial skill. Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih. I think we can proceed to the next presentation. So without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Madya Dr. Azhar from UMP to present the last cluster.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Semua boleh lihat ya slide saya dan suara saya? Boleh dengar?
Suara dengar. Okey, nampak dah.
Slide ya. Okay. Terima kasih Encik Wan pada JPT yang berusaha Dr. Wan, JPT, Zafir daripada MQA, Dr. Shah, rakan-rakan Nobel, dan juga educator ya. Some of us adalah administrator academic administrator, some of us adalah lecturer, saya course sebagai educator lah yang nak mendidik pelajar semua ya. Saya akan present tak pergi pada first slide. Okay, slide untuk this cluster, ethics dan professionalism ya. Kluster yang kelima walaupun terakhir tapi merupakan kluster yang penting dalam konteks untuk melahirkan graduan yang punya nilai-nilai etik dan juga professionalism ya. Okay. So the description dia basically tajuk dia etik and professionalism ya. Kenapa tidak diasingkan? Kalau kita lihat ethics, basically it refer to the moral. Kalau dalam Islam is referred to akhlak. Yeah? So sometimes student come with the good cognitive, very proficient in punya competency, but without moral, dia akan spoil student punya performance and so on. Yeah? That's very important. Cuma relation dalam konteks ini where we dealing with ethics, might be ethics also can be fall under personal skill, also can be fall under interpersonal skill, but this context is referred to ethics in the professionalism context, their profession. Either the student are in the law program, the student in the education program, they are in the medical school, right? This means their ethics or their moral or their attitude, behavior in the context of their profession. Okay. So that's why we combine the term ethics and professionalism together to ensure that what they're going to practice when they are finished their study in the good ethic and good moral or good behavior related to the profession that what they're going to be after they graduate. Okay. Okay. With dealing with the ethics and professionalism, it's not necessarily must be deal with human only, either one-to-one with their boss, okay, with the lecturer, or in the meeting with in the small group discussion, or they give the presentation in the public audience, right? Ethics and professionalism also dealing with sometimes with the machine. For example, an engineer set up a machine. Before they set up the machine, during using the machine, operate the machine, and after finish using the machine, they must follow some SOP for that particular dealing with that machine. Okay. Sometimes the ethics professionalism also dealing with the animal. Someone yang datang daripada veteriner dealing with the animal, so they have also follow the SOP for the animal. Okay, sometimes kalau yang datang pada dealing with artifact yang pernah berjumpa, yang saya think tim UMK pernah berjumpa artifact di hutan Kelantan, right? How to deal with artifact yang mereka jumpa di dalam tanah hutan dan sebagainya, ada SOP yang perlu dipatuhi. That's the importance of ethics and professionalism. Okay, that's why dalam definition ataupun deskriptor ini diletakkan definition dia kata dalam konteks sosial dan juga professional environment dan juga praktis. Okay, maksudnya ini tidak sahaja dealing dalam konteks pejabat sahaja. Okay, might be some profession perlu kita deal dengan orang awam. Okay, so bila dealing dengan orang awam, kita kena react dengan bahasa sesuai dengan orang awam. Tidak semestinya sama kita mungkin di pejabat kita gunakan English sebagai medium of communication. Dealing with public dalam konteks Malaysia mungkin bahasa Melayu yang sesuai. So kena appropriatekan kita punya etika bekerja sesuai dengan environment yang kita perlu okay. So ini contoh attribute yang dealing with ethics dan professionalism. Ini contoh 5 sahaja, it can be more than that, bergantung pada bidang masing-masing. Yang pertama tentang moral, yang kedua identity kita dalam konteks contohnya lawyer ada identity dia sendiri dalam konteks sama ada pakaian, cara berhujah dan sebagainya, penampilan, work ethic dan juga integrity. Isu integrity sekarang ni adalah perkara yang besar dalam konteks negara kita lah. Okey, dalam konteks professionalism ni sekarang ni pun kita walaupun kita masih lagi terikat ataupun berada dalam dunia pekerjaan yang biasa, kita kena dah bermula dengan kerja-kerja dalam dunia yang baru. Sekarang ni kita dealing with the people yang jadi YouTuber. YouTuber as a profession sekarang ni kan. So bagaimana YouTuber menjadi seorang yang ada etika. Ataupun sekarang ni kita ada influencer, orang-orang influence dekat social media, right? Baru ni kita ada isu kepebalahan Gaza semua kan. Bagaimana hebatnya ataupun masalah netizen kita dalam konteks untuk memastikan etika tersebut berlaku dengan jelas. Seterusnya ini contoh contoh bagaimana course assessment plan dibuat dalam satu-satu subjek. Saya tak berniat untuk menceritakan secara detail perkara ini. Cuma dalam konteks untuk etik professionalism so kita jangan tunggu assessment baru kita nak deal dengan perkara ini. Walaupun assessment berlaku pada minggu ke-15, minggu ke-14, development of ethics supposed berlaku pada day 1 of our lecture. Saya ambil contoh for example dalam konteks punctuality. Punctuality is very important dalam mana-mana profession sekalipun, sama ada hadir mesyuarat tepat waktunya ataupun sebelum pada waktu tersebut, okay, ataupun keperluan untuk submit dokumen, very important ya. Punctuality, saya rasa ramai lecturer yang practice. Kalau zaman saya belajar dulu, kita pernah dengar lecturer yang request student tolong tutup pintu pada luar. Bila tutup pintu luar, seorang kalau datang lewat tutup pintu pada luar, dia tak perlu masuk kelas. Itu contoh bagaimana lecturer telah mendidik pelajar, kalau datang lewat tak perlu masuk kelas terus, sebagai contohlah. So kalau we are the lecturer, practice datang sebelum kelas daripada day 1 until week 10 or week 15 is going to educate our student that is the good habit or good behavior or good ethic we practice from day 1 until the end of the semester. Okay, sama juga keperluan dalam because punctuality is important for it or most of the time, right? Okay, kita biasa dengar kalau orang Jepun dia punya kehadiran dia before the meeting, British on the dot on the meeting, for example, right? Bangsa X datang selepas 1 hour of the meeting, right? Kita menunggu. Orang Melayu biasa guna term apa sampai lagi on the way. Itu term-term yang menggambarkan how good that particular group tentang punctuality, right? Begitu. Okay. Satu lagi saya nak highlightkan di sini sebelum selesai adalah ini soalan yang ditanya dalam entrepreneur tadi. Okay. So dalam konteks kalau kita konektif kita menggunakan belum taksonomi, so dalam konteks efektif kita gunakan work-based taksonomi. Dan sewajarnya pada pandangan saya untuk bachelor 5 level tersebut, A1 receiving, A5 sampai ke third stage of the value is supposed to be at the degree level sekurang-kurangnya dekat A3 punya level. Maksudnya student dan value dia punya etik daripada first year until before the end their study at our institution. Value. Maksudnya mereka tak ada value. Sama ada dalam konteks kecepatan masa, cara bercakap, hormat pada kawan, good listener dalam konteks perbincangan semua, itu perkara tersebut perlu dipraktis pada awal pengajian. Maksudnya valuing ni sepatutnya A3 supposed to be at the level at all program at the bachelor program. Okay, sama ada some subject might be at the A3, some subject the A4, depend on the design of the program. So on average, right? For example, on average for the degree program connective kita kata at connective level 4, right? So on effective sepatutnya on the average at least at level 3. So kalau kita boleh tingkatkan lagi up to level A4, this means I think that kind of the graduate is supposed to be marketable, direbut oleh industri dan sebagainya. Cuma challenge dalam konteks efektif berbeza, development dia berbeza compare to kepada challenge dalam konteks kita cognitive. Sebab most of the lecturer they are good really in the cognitive. Sometimes kita biar je efektif diajar oleh orang pusat sains kemanusiaan, contoh ustaz-ustaz, tapi sebenarnya kita, some technical lecturer also responsible to make sure effective domain seriously embed in all subject. Because kalau orang Islam tu, kalau semayang kita ada dalam rukun solat tu salah satunya tertib dan tumanninah, right? So kalau kita boleh baca Fatihah bagus, kalau tak ada tertib dia akan mengganggu kesempurnaan solat kita. Sama juga dalam konteks ilmu kita efektif adalah akhlak kita dalam kita berurusan dengan manusia dan environment kita sepatutnya menjadi komponen penting dalam education of our today. That's why kalau kita lihat daripada 11 learning domain tersebut, 1-2 konektif dan the rest adalah efektif, kecuali yang 7-8 tu masih lagi psychomotor. Okay, saya rasa itu sahaja daripada saya. Ini contoh lain yang kita akan bincang dalam sesi webinar e-talk nanti. Okay, terima kasih. Saya kembalikan kepada Cik Wan Z.
Baik, terima kasih. Dr. Azhar atas pembentangan kluster yang terakhir sebentar tadi. Sebelum kita pergi kepada Q&A keseluruhannya, ada tak soalan khusus untuk Dr. Azhar dalam 5 minit? 1-2 soalan. Dr. Azhar mungkin boleh jawab ni. Can we measure ethics and professionalism through participation or attendance?
Kalau direct might be tak sesuai. Tapi kalau kita betul emphasize, put in proper rubric and itu important dalam profession, kita boleh buat perkara tersebut. Kalau for example, mana profession yang punctuality is attendant, for example kita dealing with the punctuality, right? Okay, so kalau betul-betul penting profession tersebut, kita boleh justify, no problem. So kalau kita dealing with the attendance relate to the attendance with the participation of the student to the class, right? It's important for that particular profession. Justify that is very important for your profession, and then go ahead, no problem. The most important thing is whatever is you are the course designer, you know that's very important for your student as the profile of student, boleh decide ke tersebut. Tapi perlu justification begitu.
Okay. Next, can ethics and professionalism evaluated in co-curriculum program or activities?
Boleh sangat, memang boleh sangat. So for example kalau kita buat sulam program sulam yang GPT highlight kan, program sulam, maybe activity curriculum buat di kampung nelayan for example, right? So student dealing with the nelayan, cara bercakap, cara dia dengan ketua kampung, cara dia dengan orang kampung kalau kita buat aktiviti bersih kubur dan sebagainya kan. Contohnya banyak perkara yang kita etik yang perlu berlaku. Etik bukannya dalam office sahaja etik can be bergantung pada environment persetaraan kerja kita. Nak deal dengan orang kampung tak sama nak deal dengan kita punya klik di office. Sometimes dealing with kalau kita setting meeting dengan office kita kata mula pukul 9, memang semua orang datang pukul 9. Kalau deal dengan orang kampung, kita set pukul 9, orang kampung datang pukul 10, kita terima the environment. Sometimes begitulah. Maksudnya jangan mereka datang pukul 10 kita marah dan sebagainya lah. Sometimes suasana di kampung might be acceptance datang lewat setengah jam pada masa kan. Begitulah, kena sesuai dengan suasana persetaraan yang kita deal with.
Okay, terima kasih. Last question maybe, can we consider applying research ethics for human subjects under this cluster, because it's a requirement in human research that our research proposal is ethical?
Ethics bergantung pada subjek sometimes ethics can be considered juga sebagai connective for that particular subject. Kalau subjek yang memang emphasize on ethics, it jadi connective for that particular subject, but it can combine ethics as effective for that some subject or that particular subject. Okay, kalau subjek yang memang ethics, kita boleh pecah dua. Sebahagian goes to connective, since the content is related to ethics, then some portion of the mark goes to the ethics from the effective perspective. Itu pandangan saya for that particular topik or subject lah.
Baik, saya rasa untuk soalan khusus kepada Dr. Azhar kita hentikan dulu di sini.
Okay,
nanti
terima kasih.
Terima kasih Dr. Azhar. Baiklah, alhamdulillah selesai untuk 5 pembentangan kluster daripada 7 orang pakar, dan sekarang kita akan beralih kepada soalan Q&A. Saya buka terlebih dahulu sebelum saya menjemput setiap daripada penceramah panel sebentar tadi untuk membuat rumusan masing-masing. Saya jemput secara terbuka kepada mereka yang berada di dalam webex terlebih dahulu untuk bertanyakan soalan. Any question you can just on your mic and just tell us what is your name and where is your institution. Dipersilakan.
Hai, Assalamualaikum.
Hello, okay.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Faradila from City University.
Okay.
So I would like to ask a question. I think it's related to a practical skill where with a current situation we had through the online learning, and like me, I'm from a biomedical course, and there are few lab practical sessions such as for the microbiology where we should have the hands-on into a lab, and due to the current situation where we cannot have a face-to-face normal practical skill, so how we actually can measure the psychomotor domain when the limits we can just share the video, but the student cannot do the practical, cannot enter the lab as a normal face-to-face punya learning session. So if I can get the opinion or maybe some suggestion from the presenter about the recommended practical skills so that it can capture the psychomotor domain from the students. So that's it.
Thank you. Who going to respond to the question?
Hi, good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Wait, yeah. From the first question that given just now, are we going to collect it first or we want to direct response? Dr. Sharifah?
Okay, soalan tu memang susah nak jawab. Sebab with this pandemic kind of thing, so memang difficult to answer that question, because we have actually designed our curriculum to measure that practical skills aspect, right? But sometimes we have to change. I tak tahu what is your practice at your university, but sometimes we have to relook at our course learning, this course learning outcome design of our course, and maybe we have to tweak a bit on our assessment and so on to cater that particular measurement because due to this COVID, and it will be temporary insyaAllah. That is only, itu saja yang saya boleh jawab. Kalau ada ahli lain yang boleh bantu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Boleh saya asking sedikit lah untuk penerangan. Untuk makluman betul, kita agree dengan Prof mention tadi berkaitan dengan practical skill ni. Kita dalam konteks pandemik ni memang kita tak boleh buat apa-apa, dia dah jadi macam dia dah apa yang kita boleh buat dalam konteks macam saya menceritakan bahawa dalam konteks saya ada menggunakan LOD practical skill, kita terpaksa twist a different approach. Contoh pada kursus saya akan minta pelajar tu untuk buat dia ada practical test. So practical test normally kita akan control di dalam lab, dia akan complete the task. So apa yang kita buat, kita terpaksa twist the soalan dan make sure dia punya dapatan dia tu ataupun hasil dia hasilkan tu will be nak kata 100% kita tak akan dapat mampu untuk capai, tapi as long as there will be very minimal punya bias lah. Itu yang okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anu. Okay, we proceed to the next.
Sorry, Cikman.
Okay, Doctor.
I think that is one of the reasons kenapa we actually mohon kelulusan daripada Majlis Keselamatan Negara to bring back students yang memerlukan peralatan makmal, peralatan khas, studio, bengkel to come back to the campus so that they can use the facilities in the campus. So itu termasuk mereka kena 6 pelajar berkeperluan. So pelajar-pelajar yang memerlukan maklumat inilah yang di antara mereka yang memerlukan yang boleh dibawa balik ke kampus sepanjang MCO ni.
Okay, thank you Doktor. Okay, next kita pergi ke soalan yang seterusnya. Tadi ada daripada Encik Hao Chunyan.
Yes, hi, good afternoon all. Thanks Prof for your enlightening and also your sharing. I have one specific question. Allow me to use English in this session here.
Sure.
We have one of our program which is called the Master and PhD Research Program. Okay, we have designed and also we have got the approval from the KPT and also the MQA. So we have this PLO number 10, establish and initiate the entrepreneurial ventures into the potential research project, the energy related field of study. So we only have, because this is a full research mode of program, so we only have three prerequisite course to be registered by the candidate, okay, which is the research methodology, research seminar, and also the postgrad research. So to better match this PLO, how can we assess it in a tangibly manner? Yeah, Prof, could you please share with us? Thank you.
Is this question posed to PLO cluster entrepreneur?
Yes, it was actually mapped to PLO number 10, yeah, which is under the cluster of number 4.
Okay, can you summarize what actually you wanted to ask? Because it's quite lengthy.
Okay, I'll keep it short. Yeah. So how can we actually assess this through the research mode in the postgrad program?
Oh, I see. All right. Well, for level above 6, which is 7 and 8, when they have a full research mode, yeah, usually you go back to your CLO. Yeah. For example, in our case, CLO for entrepreneurship, strategic entrepreneurship courses. So basically, it will attempt towards the task. For example, the student need to perform or need to address the task on project maybe. So the project that goes towards building or creating business canvas, for example. So in business canvas, there are a lot of attributes that can be cultivated during the process of finishing their project. So that's one, So basically, when we develop the CLOs, we have actually stated the action verb. For example, either the action verb like demonstrate, or maybe formulate, or maybe rectify or evaluate. So that action verb should be able to ensure the student able to come up with certain project. So from there, the attributes of entrepreneurship are embedded inside those tasks. So it could be one project within that one CLO that plot into PLO entrepreneurial skills. Okay, so task given, type of task. Okay.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, we go for the next question.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Boleh dengar ya?
Boleh.
Alright, my name is Rami Aida Darmi daripada USIM.
Baik.
Okay, my question would be, thank you to the speakers for sharing, of having this webinar session. it gives a clearer view of what the clusters mean, because so far I think most of us refer to the MQF second edition document. So my question would be, universities have been instructed to restructure the courses or the programs to align to MQF 2.0. So, for universities or programs that have been granted approval, okay, by the Senate, for example, in terms of their restructuring of their programs to MQF 2.0, do we have to redo it, because the webinar is now and that's been done. We've done that a few months back. So I'm just trying to understand how this goes, because so far we have tried to restructure the programs to MQF 2.0 based on our understanding of the document MQF 2.0, which is available in MQA website. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
I jawab ke MQA nak tolong jawab?
Cik Zafri.
Cik Zafri, please.
Cik Zafri ada ke? Atau Cik KB? Atau Cik Zamrin? Okay, rasa macam tak ada. Dr. Wan? Can you please respond?
Okay. Boleh dengar? Yeah, because this webinar is actually a sharing session for to highlight the 5 clusters of the MQF 2.0. Now, berkeliling or apa yang daripada MQA berkeliling yang dikeluarkan surat makluman that was actually to be that has been that's actually effective for new programs April 2019 for review program is actually April 2020, right? So this is actually to understand better the 5 clusters and because this book, the quick reference of these 5 clusters of the learning outcome and is actually aligned with the guideline that was produced by MQA. And MQA also is actually part of the authors, one of the authors for this book that contribute to this book, and this webinar is actually meant to give more understanding and to assist and to facilitate the educators in designing and their assessment and revising the program academics. So it's actually a good addition. So we hope that, to understand better these clusters, that the educators will join our technical workshop coming soon. So it is actually aligned, and don't worry about whether it is it's nothing. It's actually not something new, and it's not against the or the guidelines that have actually been distributed since 2019 or sorry 2018.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next question.
Hello, I'm Nancy from Taylor's University. Can I speak? I'd like to speak in English, okay?
Yes, please.
So I would like to ask about measuring the affective domain. I find that it is quite a challenge. For example, is it clear? Sorry, not clear, is it? I'll type my question in the chat. Let somebody else go first.
We can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, I'll just continue. Yes, so my question is on measuring the affective domain. For example, like achievement orientation, proactiveness, as was shown just now. So one of the example given is that the CLO says that explain the importance of teamwork. So I think this may sound like a cognitive domain exercise as well. So are we just assessing the students on the product that they produce? Or how do we measure that internal aspect, the emotion, and how much they value the teamwork? Thank you.
Boleh saya can I share a bit about how we can measure through the affective domain. But we can see from the previous, even we have a book from the ICGPA, they did mention about how we can that they have some example in terms of what kind of assessment that can be applied. For example, if you want to capture the morale, for example, we can through their presentation of work, and also we have can we have a case study, or we can have the reflection from each student. Means that after they've done a bit, and from there the student can give some reflection. So from there, actually we can derive on, we can capture their the based on the morale attribute. That's my suggestion.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Anwar.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question. If I may read some of the questions that given on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. There's two questions that may be okay, the first one is, apakah cara terbaik untuk measure leadership and ethics jika melibatkan pelajar yang ramai, 45%? Observation agak membebankan. Okay, that is for Dr. Azhar. Second, from Lily, macam mana nak bezakan antara mapping diploma, degree, master? Yang ni mungkin Dr. Prof Irfan. Okay, Dr. Azhar dulu.
Untuk measure efektif memang efektif ni memang kritis lah. Bergantung pada konten masing-masing, subjek masing-masing. Contohnya efektif boleh di measure melalui report. Kalau presentation pun boleh dinilai, kita boleh nilai efektif domain juga. Ethics dalam konteks presentation. So presentation, kalau dahulu kita mahu buat student present satu kumpulan 10 minit presentation. But nowadays kita kata presentation 3 minit saja, buat recording presentation, 5 orang semua participate, kena make sure everyone participate dalam video tersebut, upload YouTube, dan kita boleh measure, kita boleh lihat presentation mereka on the effective domain dalam konteks ethical presentation. Okay, so menjimatkan masa kita, tak perlu tunggu pelajar face to face, kita boleh nilai at any time. Begitulah contohlah. Is kena creativity lah dalam konteks tersebut. Even kalau report pun janganlah kita hantar 20 surat report. Bukan semua page kita perlu nilai. Randomly daripada 20 page report kita nilai baca awal, tengah, hujung sahaja kan. Kita pilih mana part-part yang important. Yang penting ada part yang kita boleh nilai student attain dia punya target outcome tersebut memadai. Jangan, tak perlu nak baca 20 page. Dalam konteks konektif, yes, kena baca 20 page. Dalam etik ni kita boleh randomly pilih part-part yang important untuk kita minimiskan masa untuk kita menilai student kita supaya capai mana-mana outcome yang kita perlukan. Kena strategize lah untuk kita optimumkan masa kita guna untuk menilai dalam kumpulan pelajar yang besar. Itu contoh-contoh yang boleh saya berikan ini. Nanti join webinar e-talk tu kita boleh bincang lagi lah. Nanti mungkin ada lecturer lain boleh share pengalaman masing-masing dalam webinar tu nanti. Ya. Okay, itu setakat ini dulu.
Prof Irfan, if
Okay,
you may
thank you.
respond.
Thank you, Mr. Zaid. Okay, I'm not sure whether I understand the question correctly, but based on my understanding, you asked whether we can map from diploma level to first degree level. I think that's how I understood the question. Kalau macam tu, we have to look at the descriptors, look at the Mqf 2.0, because each level certificate has its own descriptor. Diploma has its own descriptor. So the higher you go, the different expectations and different requirement and different learning outcomes actually. So I don't see how I do not know how you can map those different programs. So I think that's my response for that question. Whether I understood the question correctly, I'm not really sure.
Okay, thanks.
Jika
Dr. Shah?
saya boleh tambah, okay, sebenarnya kalau kita tengok descriptor, the function of descriptor at the back of Mqf 2.0, appendix 2 itu adalah untuk nak melihat kepada the depth and the breadth of your content, the depth of your content and also the breadth of skills that you want to measure. So it will help you inshallah. So you look at the back of the Mqf 2.0 appendix 2, it will guide you on the depth in terms of knowledge and breadth in terms of the skills that you want to measure. Boleh ke saya?
Sure. Boleh, can I just continue from there?
Oh, sorry. You tak habis lagi ke tadi? Sorry.
I nak sambung based on your feedback and respond.
Okay.
Kalau contohlah katalah from this knowledge and understanding cluster, knowledge and understanding cluster, memang if you look at the appendix 2, the descriptor for certificate and diploma level, they just really require you this knowledge understanding. Level atas tu tak ada. But when you go to first degree or bachelor's level, then you can see that you can use a higher level of cognitive domain. And if you go to master's level and PhD level, then the descriptor is a bit more, it's a deeper, you can see the depth there. Kita nampak lebih mendalam, lebih macam Dr. Shah kata, lebih luas dan lebih mendalam lagi lah. So yeah, I think you can see that the differences lah between the different levels. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the response. Next, I read the question. Maybe this is for Prof. Surya. Is it compulsory for us to evaluate all cluster in their pragmatic assessment? From medical education perspective, it's a dilemma on how to best assess entrepreneurship and leadership formally.
Okay, actually I'm waiting for those questions, especially from a discipline which is not on humanities and social sciences. Okay, what I have emphasized during my presentation, the 7 attributes of leaderships of entrepreneurial skills is more like, once again, I'll repeat, self-efficacy, competitive, networking, calculative risk-taking, innovative and creative, opportunity recognitions and business. Of course, business acumen is more like starting a business, having business attribute and so forth. But the above 6 attributes are very much about training, giving opportunity to our student, so that we're able to highlight those attributes in a structured way rather than by default. So either you from medical, either from nursing, either you are from hard science, these attributes are well placed in any CLO that you are developing. That's my take. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are participants who want to ask questions directly from the WebEx, you are encouraged to do so, because I'm searching for any question in the Facebook and YouTube. Okay, yeah.
Zai, boleh tak I share slide Wan Zai, sebab ada beberapa pertanyaan berkenaan what are the appropriate coordinate, either to
Okay,
measure
sure.
cognitive domain, psychomotor domain. So can I share my slide just now? Mungkin ada yang
Okay,
tak
sure.
tahu tadi. Sekejap ya, bear with me.
Cuma nak tanya organizer, apa nama, tarikh-tarikh yang web ETOT tu baru satu je, yang lagi lain belum lagi?
Belum lagi.
Nanti kita sekejap.
Okay.
Dah nampak ke slide I?
Belum appear, tapi viewing lah.
Ini dah ada ke? Dah nampak ke?
Belum.
Belum. I dah share dah ni. Ni, nampak tak?
Tak nampak.
Masya Allah. Sekejap. What happened ni?
Okay, sambil tu boleh tak Dr. Mariam mungkin how do we measure effective skills like personal skills? The CLO shown explain the importance of teamwork. Sounds cognitive.
Yang tu slide nombor berapa ya? Referring to slide di dalam cluster 3, personal skill ke interpersonal skill tadi?
We should ask the tak tahu siapa yang
Saya nampak juga jawab soalan tu tadi, tapi saya tak pasti adakah dia merujuk kepada course
from I don't know, Madam or Dr. Nancy Lee.
Yeah. No, just now I asked the question already. I think Dr. Anwar has already addressed it.
Okay, so maybe this Dr. Mariam, do we have to capture all the 4 skills or any one of the 4 suffices the LOD 4A?
Oh, that one is LOD 4A. I think the Sharifah has answered just now. All the 5 clusters we have orang kata apa? Not divided lah. We have classified into 9 separate PLO kan. But if you want to have it as one PLO yang cluster 4 tu ada both, yes you can, but the measurement of what you want, the attributes that you want to measure to the students, itu yang membezakan antara personal or entrepreneurial. Yeah, I hope I got it right. It depends on what you want to measure. Not necessarily you have to measure both, or you boleh measure satu, or you boleh either one lah. It depends on what attributes that you want to measure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. Shah. Dr. Shah, you can proceed.
Okay, I muted pula. Okay, sekejap ya. Nampak dekat slide ni? Nampak ke slide?
Nampak.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yang ni yang saya nak, tadi ada doktor, tak ingat nama dia tadi, so yang saya dah janjikan saya akan share yang ni. Baik, kalau kita tengok, okay, let me show, slide show. Okay, kalau kita tengokkan slide ni, okay, nampak tak dia menunjukkan, this is a common practice, okay, 5 cluster with 11 learning outcome domain and also the dominant learning domain that being suggested for you to measure. Okay, for example, kalau knowledge and understanding, of course, this one memang no doubt you have to measure cognitive domain. On the cognitive skills pun tak ada doubt dah ini mesti measure cognitive learning domain. If you look at the functional world skills, dia functional world skills, we have to tengok your discipline. Remember tadi I have mentioned on practical skills, I have shared with you, walaupun dekat sini dominant learning domain ni adalah psychomotor, like what we have measure all this while, tetapi again it goes back to our discipline and our work skills and our discipline base. Okay, go to the definition, go back to definition. And biasanya pula interpersonal skills affective domain dan communication skills affective domain juga. Tetapi kalau program tu namanya sarjana muda komunikasi,
Yes.
pun sarjana muda English communication.
Yes.
The core tu adalah communication. So bermakna
Yes.
akan ada courses yang measure cognitive domain if it is the core of the program. Tetapi mungkin juga akan ada courses yang measure affective domain macam tu.
Yes.
Okey, sama juga digital skills. Kalau dah nama programnya sarjana muda digital, sarjana muda apa lagi? Design, digital marketing, digital business for example, obviously mungkin ada course core-nya measure cognitive dan ada yang measure psychomotor. So this is all depends on you, especially how you design your own program. Okay, tengok apakah attribute, apakah the dominant aspect for my program. Is it the cognitive? Is it the psychomotor? Is it the affective domain? So you have to ask yourself as content developer, as course developer and also as a program developer. Okay, sama juga tadi ada soalan pasal numeracy skill. Ini memang tak ada no doubt. Kalau namanya numeracy, cognitive, kita measure cognitive. Tapi if you can justify that for my particular course, this is not cognitive, this is affective, this is psychomotor, by all means justify. Yeah, and sama juga yang lain, leadership, personal skill pun sama. This is adalah cadangan, tetapi it goes back to design of the program. So kita nak kata boleh tak boleh tu pun kadang-kadang kita pun tak boleh nak cakap macam tu. It go back to the design of your program, how you design your course and so on. Yeah, hopefully menjawab soalan tersebut. Saya stop sharing dulu.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone want
Boleh
to
tak saya Assalamualaikum.
Ya, waalaikumsalam.
Saya Raimi daripada UMK. So terima kasih Dr. Sharifah, Prof, for your clarification just now. So just nak tahu betul ke tak saya punya understanding. So kalau kita tengok macam tadi daripada penerangan Prof, kalau kita tengok dari segi data analysis katakanlah, when we actually analysing lots of data, it can falls within digital skill. But if we analyse just a bit of data, it can falls within numerical skill. Or it can falls within SLO cluster 2 even. So
yes.
It depends.
Yes.
Yeah, so it depends on the program owner to decide which one do you want to do.
Tetapi Dr. Raimi, it goes back to your blueprint of your program. Sebab kadang-kadang kita selalu buat in silos. Kita tak tahu apa kawan kita buat, apa kawan kita measure. So always go back to your blueprint, program blueprint. Ya, yeah, Dr. Raimi?
Terima kasih, Prof. Very clear already.
Okay, thank you. Okay, soalan yang seterusnya, I hope that explains the question yang tadi. Soalan seterusnya mungkin Dr. Hayati, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, maybe Doktor boleh jawab soalan ni. Salam. Jika program sejarah kesesuaian klusternya adalah tinggi di LOC 1 dan LOC 2 sahaja, atau kena lihat subjek-subjek yang ditawarkan dalam program sejarah tersebut juga?
Okay, terima kasih Cik Wan for the question. Saya tak pasti sama ada yang bertanya soalan ini adakah dia mahu bertanyakan tentang weightage bagi LOC 1 dan LOC 2 atau PLO 1 dan PLO 2 untuk program sejarah, ataupun dia melihat kepada level diploma ataupun degree. So again, like a lot of the answers today, comes down to it depends, ya. So tengok pada pencapaian yang perlu dicapai, perlu lihat silibus yang ditulis. So di situlah pemberatnya untuk LOC 1 dan LOC 2 itu. Mungkin ya sebab dia sejarah kita merasakan mungkin lebih kepada memorizing, kan, remembering, ya. So again, the answer is depends on the design of the course or the design of the program.
Okay.
Itu saja jawapan saya.
May I add, boleh ke Doktor?
Boleh.
Okey, untuk Haslinda Hassan ni, program sejarah yang disebutkan tadi, adakah tinggi LOC 1, LO2 tu, bagi saya you have to look at the overall courses di dalam program. You kena tengok, you kena compare, tengok the depth, khusus sejarah yang ditawarkan year 1, khusus sejarah yang ditawarkan year 2. Then you compare which courses yang contohnya khusus yang ditawarkan semester 1 mungkin you boleh map ke LOC yang pertama. And then maybe ada certain percentage. Tetapi as you go deeper, as you go higher, lebih tinggi, maksudnya year 4, year 3, year 5, year 4 for example, dia mestilah takkanlah sama juga LOC 1-nya, mestilah dia the depth tu mestilah semakin menaik. So you have to look at the overall. Jangan tengok one single course saja. Dr.
Saya setuju
Haslinda?
dengan Prof. Sharifah Zainal sebab berbalik semula kepada descriptor dalam MQF 2.0. I think the descriptor bagi setiap level dalam appendix 2 MQF 2.0 tu is very clear. It's very clear on whether it's LOC cluster 1 atau cluster 2. So I think you have to go back to the descriptor to see that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, soalan yang seterusnya.
Can I have a quick one? Sorry, from Raimi again.
Sure.
Just want to confirm. So it's not at the end of the day for one program we want to map all cluster, atau it's not necessary?
Setiap program kena map pada semua 11 learning outcome domain.
Yes. Jawapan dia yes.
The way you distribute it depends on the blueprint of your program. Itu saja, Doktor.
Okay. Next question. Once again, if there is anyone that want to ask here in Webex directly, please do so. Next question is, I would like to know is it really necessary to cover all domains from level 7 and level 8? Is it compulsory to cover all domains from level 4, level 7 and level 8?
I rasa dah jawab soalan tu tadi kan?
Oh, dah ke? Okay.
Kalau Prof Irfan nak jawab, nak.
Okay, sekejap ya. Okay, Dr. Azhar, maybe this is for you. Apakah atribut kepimpinan apabila ingin diukur? Sebab yang tercatat fundamental concept of leadership. Oh, this is leadership, right? Bukan ethics.
Tak jelas tu Dewan, boleh ulang soalan.
Apakah atribut can everyone mute your mic? Hello? Okay, thank you. Apakah atribut kepimpinan apabila ingin diukur? Sebab yang tercatat hanya fundamental concept of leadership.
Oh, bagi tuan leadership lah kot.
Okay, tuan leadership. So this is ethics. Okay, leadership.
Prof Mariam.
Okay.
Tulis soalan tu. Yang saya sedang copy all the questions. Okay.
Apakah atribut kepimpinan apabila ingin diukur? Sebab yang tercatat hanya apakah atribut kepimpinan yang nak diukur apabila ia nak diukur? Sebab yang tercatat hanya fundamental concept of leadership.
Apakah konsep kepimpinan?
Apakah attribute
Aha.
kepimpinan yang nak diukur? I mean like maybe other element kot. Sebab yang tercatat hanya fundamental konsep.
Kita dah bagi contoh-contoh attributes tadi kan. We have suggested some attributes that we can use to measure leadership, and also we can also refer to the buku rubric ICGPA. There are also some attributes for leadership, and so it depends on which attribute yang you nak measure. Contohnya kalau macam you would like to see how let's say we have macam group work kan. If you would like to see how they become a leader ataupun lead the group efficiently, then you can find the suitable attribute to measure that leadership quality. Or other thing, you can look at autonomy, macam mana dia buat decision contohnya. Walaupun dia bukan the leader of the group, tapi how she or he displays the ability to do decision making. So it depends on banyak tadi contoh the leaderships yang attributes yang kita boleh measure sebenarnya. It's not just fundamental saja.
Okey, apa ni Prof Dr. Mariam. So saya nak sikit Syabani So actually saya tengok soalan-soalan ni banyak kepada individual subject course subject kan, tapi macam Dr. Ruzaina maklum tadi kan. So make sure that kita kena tengok blueprint di atas tu. Yang atas tu blueprint tu adalah di subjek nak measure apa, di subjek nak measure apa kan. Dekat situlah kita kena tengok pemberat apakah yang kita nak measure, apakah CLO-nya, apakah tahapnya dan sebagainya lah. So dekat situ saya rasa program coordinator tu should understand that every subject tu which tahap, which learning outcome cluster, which CLO we need to measure. Dekat situ lah baru kita boleh membawa kepada apa yang kita nak measure lah. So this is the important point lah di atas tu. So yang bawah-bawah ni saya rasa more in kepada adakah nak measure kepimpinan level mana dan sebagainya, is depend to the blueprint yang kita tengok. Sebab blueprint ni bila kita tengok secara lalu, di bawah tu kita kena buat graf kan, yang mana satu program communication for example. So apa yang tinggi? Tinggi ni adalah communication or cognitive or entrepreneur this one lah. Dekat situ lah kita boleh decide dia akan jadi top down dengan bottom up. So saya nampak the question issue to refer to the content expert who want to create the syllabus. Okay, itu saya punya ni lah, mungkin rakan-rakan boleh bantulah. Dan satu lagi saya ambil kesempatan ni lah nak tengok ada satu program matrikulasi ya. Matrikulasi dia tanya adakah matrikulasi perlu ada 11 learning outcome cluster. Okay. So saya punya personal, mungkin rakan-rakan boleh bantu saya punya personal opinion saya pernah tengok program matrikulasi, biasanya dia ada 6 PLO saja. Kita kena fikir program matrikulasi adalah program untuk supply pelajar kepada universiti, bukannya untuk untuk dia bekerja. Okay? Yang kita tengok selepas PLO untuk 11 learning outcome domain adalah untuk supply pelajar untuk bekerja. That's mean dia nak memang kena ada 11 learning outcome cluster. Tetapi untuk program matrikulasi saya nampak PLO yang dibina adalah mungkin 6 ke 7 kalau tak silap saya. That's why kita kena fikir balik adakah program PLO matrikulasi perlu ada 11. So jawapan saya dia based kepada matriculation punya program ini outcome dan follow dia. Tuan, bagi saya tak semestinya ada 11. This is my opinion lah, mungkin rakan-rakan boleh bantu. Okay, terima kasih.
Terima kasih Dr. Syabani. I think we are about to end. So I would like to invite each and every presenter to conclude and make a conclusion first. And I would like to inform everyone that all these questions that asked in every platform will be compiled by the jawatan kuasa and will be shared through the same link with the bahan yang kita share hari ini. So nanti esok lusa boleh check semula link tersebut sama ada FAQ ini telah di-upload untuk dijadikan sebagai panduan, sebab there is a lot of question that maybe tak dapat dilihat sebab terlalu banyak. Baik, saya jemput first presenter terlebih dahulu untuk membuat conclusion, Prof Irfan.
Prof Irfan has just text. Okay, dah.
Prof Irfan?
Prof Irfan has just said that he has to leave for a meeting.
Oh, okay. So, Dr. Hayati?
Right. Okay. Thank you, Cik Wan Zainuddin, and thank you for everyone for taking part in this webinar session this evening. I would just like to reiterate that for Cluster 2, it relates to thinking and intellectual capabilities and the ability to apply knowledge and skills to create new ideas, solutions, strategies, or new practices. Being a brain-based skill, the attributes include problem solving and scientific skills. So as such, in conclusion, Cluster 2 essentially covers the achievement of cognitive levels 3, 4, 5, and 6 if you refer to the Bloom taxonomy. So that's it from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hayati. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Mariam. Mute. Dr. mute kot, tak dengar.
Sorry, can Dr. Shah make the conclusion for Cluster 3, please?
Oh, okay, Dr. Shah. Saya fikir Dr. Shah akan buat conclusion all.
Tak apalah, boleh je lah, sama je lah. Conclude terus ke? Okay, tadi saya dah share berkenaan dengan all the clusters, all the 5 clusters and 11 CLOs. So ada lagi soalan yang mengatakan nak perlu ke sebelah dan sebagainya. Kalau area sampai 8 tu basically kena address all these 11 CLOs except for foundation. Tetapi it's good if you can look at the mana-mana yang boleh di measure. Okay, lagi satu.
Sorry. We are supposed to wrap untuk cluster 3 dulu kan? Dr. Shah macam dah
nak wrap up semua dah ya? Okay, tak apa. So untuk cluster 3 tadi kita ada 6. Kita ada 6 elemen. Okay. Ada yang kata boleh kepilih mana-mana, tak boleh, semua kena measure. But again, it goes back to your design apa-apa pun. Dan saya pun telah kongsikan untuk 5 kluster tersebut apakah ada dominant domain. Tetapi again, it goes back to your justification because you know better, because you are the creator of your own curriculum. Tengok nak kena bagi yang generic juga. Okay, you are the content creator or you are the developer of your own curriculum, so you know better. Itu sajalah yang saya nak untuk kluster ketiga tu.
Baik, thank you very much. Dr. Mariam, anything that you want to say?
Saya tambah sikit je Dr. Shah lah. Maksudnya yang dalam kluster 3 ni ada yang banyak bezanya, yang 7 practical skill, ada broader definition, digital skill dengan numeracy yang baru. Yang 3 yang lain tu adalah something yang common yang kita dah pernah buat sebelum ni, and we can have we can refer to buku rubrik ICGPA as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mariam. Next, Prof. Surya.
Okay, thank you, Cik Wan. The clusters 4, which is comprising of 2 skills, very much towards affective domain. Something that will be takeaway message is that we will provide the SEA index to those who wish to know the level of the competency in entrepreneurship skill. Thank you, that's from me.
Thank you, Prof. Last but not least, Dr. Azhar.
Okey, terima kasih Cik Wan dan semua. Untuk etik dan professionalism, effective domain, walaupun most of the designer meletakkan percentage yang rendah kepada domain efektif, tapi memberi kesan besar sebab dalam job market, effective domain memainkan peranan besar terutamanya semasa interview, isu corruption sekarang ni. So dia macam multiply. Kalau kosong dekat effective domain tu, darab konektif hebat mana pun dia kosong. Kalau besar dari itu dia akan jadi perkara besar lah. So hopefully kita mengambil serius tentang perkara ini untuk pastikan semua domain kita boleh cover dalam konteks yang seimbang untuk jadikan graduan holistik. Itu saja, terima kasih.
Thank you for all panels. Before we close our webinar today, I would like to invite Dr. Wan to say something before we close the webinar. Dr. Wan, anything that you want to say? Dr. Wan Zuhainis, are you there? Okay. I think dia dah keluar ke macam mana, mungkin ada meeting lain. Jadi saya itu sahaja. Saya nak mengucapkan ribuan terima kasih kepada semua para panel penceramah dan juga kepada semua peserta-peserta atas kerjasama dan juga komitmen sepanjang webinar ini berlangsung. Bagi pihak Rusia, kami memohon maaf, sememangnya ada isu teknikal. Rakaman ini akan boleh diakses melalui Facebook BKA dan juga ada satu link untuk YouTube yang juga didedikasikan oleh Pusat Kecemerlangan Akademik UMK, juga boleh diakses melalui pautan itu, dan kita akan share juga semua link-link tersebut. Jadi itu sahaja, ribuan terima kasih kepada semua. Semoga kita berjumpa lagi dalam TOT yang kita akan laksanakan dan jadualkan dalam masa terdekat ini. Segalanya akan dikongsikan melalui email sebab masa pendaftaran ada yang share email, dan kita akan emailkanlah sebagai bahan. Juga kita akan emailkan kepada Timbalan NAP Chancellor, juga kepada IPTS Politeknik dan juga College Community yang terlibat. Itu saja, sekian dan terima kasih. Semoga kita berjumpa lagi. Mohon maaf anda ada silap dan salah. Terima kasih kepada panel, terima kasih kepada semua peserta yang menonton dan juga mengikuti kita. Sekian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan jumpa lagi. Terima kasih semua.
Wan, ambil gambar ya Wan.
Oh, okey. Kita boleh ambil gambar. Siapa yang masih berada di sini? Saya
rezeki siapa yang tinggal?
ada